All right. We are live. What is up, friends and family? We are back. The Eagles won this Sunday, so we're in a good mood. That's right. We're in a good mood. There's also a lot of crazy shit going on this week. It was hard to decide on videos. Things are heating up. Things are getting crazy. Peachtree voted yes because it's what you wanted, and that's what matters. Peachtree doing what we want. Redonk, see you, bro. What did you vote, Redonk? You voted no. Mexican aliens. I know I wanted to talk about the Mexican aliens, but I'd already put up the thumbnail and stuff, so decisions were made. Maybe we'll look at the Mexican aliens if you guys can hang the entire time. That's my bonus. My bonus video will be Mexican aliens at the end. The very, very end. The very, very end. If you can hang the whole time, we will watch Mexican aliens at the end. But you know what we're gonna start with? You know what we're gonna start with today? You can see the video. That's Mom DeSantis right there, and that's erectile dysfunction. That's the face of erectile dysfunction, guys. I'm mad at you guys, actually. I'm upset with you guys. What's happening, PJ? You guys didn't tell me that the Lincoln Project makes funny videos. This really upsets me that you guys didn't tell me about this shit. Like, you guys tell me all of this stuff. You guys tell me about all the cool people that I should be watching. Nana tells me about the Mehdi video. But none of you guys told me that the Lincoln Project makes funny videos about Mom DeSantis. I'm very upset with you guys right now. I can barely control my anger. So what we're going to do here, we're going to start off tonight right. There's a couple long videos, okay? We got a couple long ones tonight. We've got the Kyle Kulinski spicy debate on the Bad Faith podcast. That's an hour, so we're going to settle in. I want you guys to get some water, some popcorn, get you some snacks, okay? Redonk, I want you to not. I don't want you to abuse your authority tonight. I want you to keep it down, bud. I want you to, like, all of those needs to just, like, decapitate the rest of the mods. I need you to keep that inside, okay? Jesus. Nathan, what's up, Nathan? So, we're going to do some longer form content because we got the Mehdi Hassan, which is 25 minutes. We've got the Kyle Kulinski, which is an hour. And in between, we're going to sprinkle some stuff, okay? And then, if we get through all of that, and Redonk hasn't banned everybody in the chat, we'll watch the Mexican alien video, okay? All right. Hope you guys are ready. This one's going to start off fast. So, this is a little something from the Lincoln Project that they made for Ron DeSantis. It's pretty much amazing. You guys ready for this?
This is the face of electile dysfunction. So is this. And this. Are your poll numbers sagging? Has your campaign lost that spark? Do you find yourself compensating for your shortcomings in other ways? The fact is, 1 in 3 GOP candidates has some form of electile dysfunction, a political condition also called failure. Luckily, there's hope. Introducing Viagra, the one-stop solution for those experiencing electile dysfunction. Run, try Viagra, and save yourself from further humiliation.
My mom, or my wife.
Viagra, for when your campaign's performance is more flaccid than fantastic.
Oh, man. My mommy. I am so upset with you guys. Why did you guys not tell me about this? I gotta subscribe. And what we do, we hit the like button. We hit the subscribe button. Good people support good people. That's what we do. Oh, man. That is, we talk around the office. We talk around the office about Trumpadone. That's what all the Trump supporters take, is the Trumpadone. And if you're going too hard on the Trumpadone, right? And or if you're hanging out with people that are real heavy on the Trumpadone, what you need to do is you need to get you a prescription of Fuckatol. And if you can get fuck it all in your system, you might be able to make it through this next election process. What's up, DJ? Oh, man, that was good. Woo! I had never seen this either. I had no idea. I was cruising for videos, just having a good time, and I came across this. There's a couple more. We're going to sprinkle them. We can't do them all at once. It's a little too much, you know? Man, that is amazing. Don't forget to give the Lincoln Project. They're on their way to 1 million subscribers, guys. Let's not hold them back. Let's help them out. They got 898. We want to get them to 1 million. Get them that plaque, okay? While we're here, don't forget, you can support me. 10 cents a day. Join the Ginger Army. You can also always super chat donate to my Half Yacht Fund. And you can always go to the bonfire link, which if you scroll over my videos, you can see that there's a couple shirts on there. And if you want to purchase yourself a nice comfy sweatshirt or a sweet-ass Trump mugshot shirt, feel free to support me in that way as well. Always helps me get these fancy lights. It's amazing mic boom arm, the don't spit on me shield. Thank God there's another moderator. Bucket, thanks for showing up. But you guys can always support me in any way, any of those ways, or just show up. Being here is more than enough. While you're here, if you guys have a chance to go over to Naughty Nana Does, I'll try and post her name in there. She's amazing. Like and subscribe her. Angela Knight, always doing big things, always helping me out. Please like and subscribe. Gray Pill Podcast. We all live stream on the same night, so it's kind of a pain in the ass, but I support and love all of those guys, and if you get a chance, support them. I pop on their shows every once in a while. You can hear me say some stupid shit about relationships and other things that aren't politics. So every once in a while, you catch us up at like 2 in the morning on Kick, talking about the weirdest stuff you can possibly imagine. So if you guys ever see me on, feel free to hop on the panel and say hi. So we're out there. All right, guys. So yep, Peachtree. Thank you, Brother Jumbie. Finally was able to catch a stream. Thank you, Brother Jumbie. $5. I talked to Brother Jumbie here over on Gray Pills Podcast. So that's my man right there. Thank you. And once again, you can meet awesome people like Brother Jumbie here by going over on the Gray Pill Podcast and checking it out. So I think he's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays nowadays. Angela is Wednesdays and Thursdays. So you guys feel free to go over there, subscribe, like, and give them a little bit of your attention as well. So appreciate all you guys. So all right, well, we got past the Electile Dysfunction. Bucket, if you didn't see the Electile Dysfunction video, you're gonna have to go back and you have to rewatch because that's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, we're gonna start with the shorter video here, and this one was from Naughty Nana Does. She asked me to go over this one. And she's awesome, and whatever Naughty Nana tells me to do, I'm going to do. So we're going to take a look at Mehdi Hassan grilling the shit out of Redonk's boy. Right here. Vivek, it rhymes with cake. Vivek Ramaswamy getting his ass handed to him by Mehdi Hassan.
Vivek Ramaswamy, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You and I both grew up as kids of Indian immigrants who loved to debate, super confident, perhaps overconfident in our views. But here's the difference. I kind of know my limits. You, on the other hand, having never held or even run for any elected office before, be it Congress or even school board.
That's petty. That's petty. Damn. He came in hot.
Having not voted in 3 presidential elections in a row, suddenly now want to be president, go straight.
Damn, he wasn't done. I called it too soon. He still had more to come.
For the top job on planet Earth. Your critics would say that's the epitome of tech bro arrogance. What is your response to that? I get that you're an outsider. Personally, I like outsiders. But what have you done that even qualifies you to be president of the United States?
So look, dude, DJ, he came in hot. I wasn't ready for that. He didn't even waste no time at all. Good God, my man.
Look, Mehdi, I have been taking on bureaucracies my entire life. I took on the bureaucracy of Big Pharma starting in my late 20s, at a time when I think pharma was corrupt and going in a lot of directions that they shouldn't have been. I actually built a multi-billion-dollar business developing medicines that pharma had abandoned. I took on the ESG bureaucracy.
So he's taking on Big Pharma by being Big Pharma?
Competing with firms like BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard to build a successful firm called Strive. Yes, none of that is in government, but it is in the private sector. It involves taking on bureaucracies.
Okay.
And that exactly is my mission here, is taking on the biggest bureaucracy of all. That
I kind of feel like Vivek might be one of the Mexican aliens. You guys think that's possible? He kind of looks like one of the Mexican aliens, doesn't he? I'm not talking about the illegal kind. I'm talking about like the ones they just found in Peru or whatever the fuck. He kind of looks like one, don't he?
in the federal government in Washington, D.C. And the other thing I'll add to that, Mehdi, is it's not just the outsider pitch. I think we do need an outsider. I think it's good to have a business background. But I'm also an outsider who deeply understands the law and the Constitution in this country. And I think that's the unique combination that actually makes this my calling. And I hope that we're going to be successful in reviving this country.
So you talk about your business background. Let's talk about that. You made your name and made a lot of your early big money from pushing an Alzheimer's drug that had already failed 4 clinical trials when you bought it. You then talked it up on CNBC and Forbes on the...
Damn. Well, he looked a lot different. He should grow that. He should get that facial hair back. He like right here, he looks like 12. Look at that. He's got kind of like I'm 12, I'm set at the table kind of thing going on right there. That actually looks okay. I think what he needs to do to get people to take him seriously again is to grow back that facial hair. Really add some maturity.
On the cover, your company's subsidiary shot up by billions in value when it went public in 2015. But then the drug failed its phase 3 trial on your watch. The company lost 75% of its value in a single day. Ordinary investors like the California State Teachers Pension Fund lost hundreds of...
And they picked that picture too. Damn, Mehdi. Dude, this is targeted. This is well planned out, man. Holy shit. Look at that picture they used for him.
Thousands of dollars.
God damn.
But you cashed out beforehand via your parent company to the tune of, I believe, over $37 million. Your critics say it's a classic pump and dump scheme. What do you say to that?
Yeah, Mehdi, that's the standard opposition research during politics reading.
Redonk, bro. Redonk. Vivek was doing the same thing we were doing during COVID, trying to make money off the stock market.
Line. Anybody in the biotech industry knows this story very well. 99.7% of Alzheimer's drugs have failed. That's thousands of drugs. Mine was one of them. But the company I founded, Roivant, developed a range of medicines. And the way I made my money was not through the failure of that Alzheimer's drug. This is one of the pieces of misinformation from opposition research. I could have sold shares in that subsidiary Alzheimer's company, but didn't. So the person who was hurt by that was me.
Hold on.
But
you say this a lot, but you did sell shares in Roivant, and you made $37 million.
And Mehdi,
$37 million.
It's like, dude, there's only $37 million. That's not even that much money.
Mehdi, I think you owe it to your audience. Mehdi, I think you owe it to your audience to be accurate. That is shares in a different company, not Axovant. And those shares that I sold are worth, and those shares.
Exactly. Oh my god, dude. The parent company. That matters, Vivek. That matters. Holy shit. I know that there's not a lot of people out there that are smart enough on his side of the aisle to catch that, but that's pretty fucking important that you sold the shares in the parent company. It still fucking matters.
Shares
oh my god.
Worth dramatically more today. So I would have made more money had I held on to the...
I only made $37 million. I could have made like $74 million.
Those shares. So don't believe what the opposition research pervades through the media.
It's not opposition research. We looked at your tax returns, which you very kindly have released.
Yeah, exactly.
And
which I voluntarily released because I want to be transparent.
You made $300,000 in 2014 on capital gains. In 2015, after the IPO of this Axovant, you made $37 million in capital gains.
Okay, I don't know if I want Vivek to be the president, but I would like to talk to Vivek about some investment opportunities. I need somebody to look at my portfolio for me.
Others didn't make
after
that kind
Roivant,
of money.
After Mehdi, give me a break. After Roivant, the multi-billion-dollar business that developed
Vivek just called timeout. He said, "Give me a break."
40+ medicines. Yes, I sold shares in that, and that business, if I may actually allow you to know how I made my money, developed 5 FDA-approved therapies that are now FDA-approved today.
After you sold
one
the
of them is a
companies.
life-saving therapy in kids.
When you were CEO,
Another one. They were FDA.
Damn.
Actually, over the time that I developed them, we took them all the way through phase 3, and then we did a $3 billion deal that actually
they were approved a year and a half later after you sold the company.
Yes, so Mehdi, I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm not going to fault you for not knowing the first thing about biotech because that's not your job, but getting through phase 3 is the final stage of clinical testing. Before you hand in the application, yes, my company did a $3 billion deal that actually did make money for those shareholders. And so, yes, I have built, Roivant's a publicly traded company, nearly $10 billion public company today that I built as the sole founder from scratch as one of several companies that I've built. So, yes, I have a business record that I'm proud of and will equip me to lead this country.
You mentioned stage 3 trials. The Alzheimer's drug failed it after you did a lot of touting of it. You say 99.7% failed. You never said that at the time. Do you have any regrets about how you hyped that drug?
I did say that.
CEO of Roivant said this week that you hyped the drug. Do you regret hyping it?
Damn.
We did not hype the drug. To the contrary, actually, one of the things that I found
this week.
Oh, damn.
Well, I can't speak for what is or isn't. I haven't read any article that you're quoting, so I don't exactly know what you're referring to. The fact of the matter is, though, I have been transparent at every step of the way. Everyone who is in the biotech industry knows that Alzheimer's disease is the graveyard for medicines. But I still think it's an important area.
Hold on. He's like, everybody knew this was going to fail, but they knew we were also going to make a lot of money off of it. Like, dude, that's just, come on, man.
Of need. And I'll say this, Mehdi, is, you know what? If I serve for 2 terms, I'm still going to be in my 40s when I leave the White House. It is a personal passion of mine to come back and see if Alzheimer's disease hasn't been cured. I do want to play a role in still delivering treatments and cures for that disease.
Okay.
And people who don't take risks, don't achieve meaningful impact, the medicines that I did develop, I'm proud of, and you don't get there without having a number of medicines that you test along the way. And the other thing I will say is our success rate under my watch was higher than probably nearly 99.9% of biotech startups in the last decade. So, yeah, I stand by that record. I'm not afraid of taking risks. That's part of the American spirit.
Technically, the successes were a year and a half after you sold the company, but we'll get bogged down. Let's talk politics.
Mehdi, that's dead wrong, and I would sorry to say you're embarrassing yourself in front of anybody who knows anything about biotech for knowing that face.
All right, how many of you guys know anything about biotech? I don't know nothing about biotech, so sorry, Vivek. I think you're appealing to the wrong crowd right now.
3 trials are the final stage.
Okay.
The final stage, the FDA phase 3 study.
Someone tells me there's not a lot of Trump supporters out there that know a lot about biotech.
Is succeeded. So you're barking up the wrong tree.
Let's talk politics. We do. We want to talk lots of stuff.
Sure.
You're an advocate, your critics say, of fantasy politics, of magical thinking. They say you propose stuff that can't be done. For example, you said on Meet the Press the other week that if you had been in Mike Pence's place on January the 6th, you would have insisted on first passing a bill that night to bring in single-day voting on Election Day with paper ballots.
That's inaccurate.
I
never said that night. I never said that night.
What you would have done on January the 6th, and you said I would have done this. And
I said what I would have done differently is that I was precise about the period between, and this is still ambitious, I will admit, but at least let's get my view correct. It is ambitious. Between November 4th and January 6th, I think it was an opportunity for heroism.
Just to be clear, you never said anything about
said it every step.
Let's play the clip.
He's like Trump. He's like, I said it in my head, though. Like, I said it in my head, so that counts, right? I thought it.
Oh. Guys, do we have the clip?
I've said this in countless forums.
Yeah, let's watch the clip. Let's watch the clip.
On your Chuck Todd spliced script, in all of my written statements and everything I've said,
hold on, we're playing the clip right now.
That period between the election, here's what I would have said. We need single-day voting on Election Day. We need paper ballots, and we need government-issued ID matching the voter file. And if we achieve that, then we have achieved victory, and we should not have any further complaint about election integrity.
So what was it?
I would have driven it through the Senate.
So what would you have done with Mike Pence? You would have not certified the election?
So in my capacity as president of the Senate, I would have led through that level of reform. Then on that condition, certified the election results, served it up to the president, President Trump, then to sign that into law, and on January 7th, declared the re-election campaign pursuant to a free and fair election.
Vivek, not only do you not mention anything about November, but let's say you did do November. That joint session was not a legislative session. The vice president doesn't have the power to introduce legislation. Neither party would have backed such a bill.
Oh, come on,
and it couldn't have been passed in a day.
The fact of the matter is,
naive stuff. The president.
It's just Trump 101. So him on the side, dude. Them putting him on the side. This is the pettiest interview. I mean, I'm loving it, but this is the pettiest shit I have ever seen. This is hilarious. He's just like sitting on the side, just like, fuck, what did I say? What did I say? Oh my God, what did I say? Holy shit. They just like, they did this man wrong. Holy shit. This is crazy. This is some crazy stuff right here.
The president and vice president absolutely drive legislation through Congress. That is exactly how
but
things
Trump
work.
wasn't doing legislation.
Now,
He was busy
view-
pushing the big lie, as you pointed out yourself in your books.
Well,
so he wasn't
and
there.
I wasn't
Mike
the vice
Pence could
president of the
not
United States.
have passed a bill. But
And
you
I was
asked
not
what
the
you
vice
would have done
president of the
if
United
you
States.
were Mike
You
Pence.
guys in the
What would
media,
you have done?
you guys in the MSNBC crack me up to sort of create a hypothetical situation to say, if you had been vice president, what would you have been doing? I'm telling you exactly what I've been
Vivek,
doing, but you're saying, but that's not what
He's like, how dare you ask me a question? How dare you?
Donald Trump was doing.
MSNBC,
This is
Mike
a
Pence
joke.
asked you.
Let's
Hold on,
actually
Vivek,
have
hold
a
on.
substantive conversation. Do
Hold
you want to
on.
have a substantive conversation
Hold
about
on.
what should have happened,
I
or do you want to play a
underst-
game of gotcha? Because
Yes.
you have a choice.
I
The choice
wanna
is
ask
yours.
you
Do you
what-
actually want to have a
Can I
substantive
speak?
conversation? If you do, I'm down to do it.
will
Do
you
you want a
let me get a
substantive
word in?
conversation? What we need.
You
is-
said
well,
substantive
well,
4 times.
actually,
Can I
if you
speak?
want
This is like the debates on YouTube right now. They just yell at each other.
to get a word in, you know, if you're going to speak the
Mike
truth and ask a
Pence,
legitimate
Vivek.
question, have at it.
I think
Let's
it is a
actually have a
legitimate question.
substantive
Multiple
conversation.
people wondered about your knowledge of how Congress works, suggesting Mike Pence, by the way, on the debate stage asked you if you would have supported what he did. It's not an MSNBC question. It's a Republican vice president question.
Yes.
Yeah, he
so
did.
fine, you don't want to
And
answer
what
it.
I'm
You think
saying
you
is
could have
it
passed
was
a
a
bill.
missed opportunity for heroism, not in one day, but I think that in a period of 2 months. And I think you're a smart guy.
It
You
couldn't have been
understand
done
this.
in a lame duck
There's an
Congress,
American
Vivek. You're a
confidence.
smart guy.
And why the fuck what does he mean by heroism? Like, I am not a Mike Pence fan, but Jesus Christ, Mike Pence did what he was supposed to do. If there was any heroism on January 6th when it comes to Donald Trump or Mike Pence or Vivek, like, Mike Pence was the better man. And that just hurts to say. Oh, God. I think I need to go wash myself.
You know it couldn't have been done in 2 months.
I think under extraordinary circumstances, in extraordinary times, we have an American Confidence in Elections Act. It's literally making its way through Congress now. ACE. I support it. I think if we had gotten that done during that window.
Yeah, how long ago did they start with that? I bet they didn't do it in a fucking day, Vivek.
Further, we said single-day voting on
Democrats
election
wouldn't
day
have
as
agreed
a
to
national
voting
holiday.
ID, and Mitch McConnell wouldn't have agreed to a national
I think
holiday.
Democrats should
we
agree
could
to
argue
it.
for
And what about people that are overseas? What about the military? Jesus Christ, you can't just have everybody vote in one day. That's literally, like, we already have a problem with people not turning out. You want less people to turn out? I don't understand this way of thinking at all. Like, what would be the point of making single-day voting? Like, we already, like, what is it? Something like 50% of people already don't show up. That just makes I don't get it.
forever.
I
We
think,
can argue
I
forever
think
about that.
Democrats should agree to it.
That's a
And
different
that's what I
argument. It
stand
wouldn't
for.
have
I
happened,
think
is
we're
what
still
I'm
going to get
saying.
that done when I'm the president.
Okay.
When
So
I'm
you
the
said
president.
recently- so
Not
you
in some
make a lot of-
fantasy land where I was vice president in
Got it.
some
So
other
let's-
year in the historical
let's talk
history.
about you as
but
president.
in actual, what I'm running for,
Understood.
this is what we're going to
Let
do.
me ask a question so we don't run out of time. Please don't filibuster. I just want to ask a question about when you're president, you say you said this is your words, quote, if you want to stay out of no-win wars and make America stronger at home, I know how to get that done. Genuine question,
Yes.
Vivek, not a gotcha. How? How do you know how to get that done? With respect,
Yes.
you've literally never done anything like that in your life. I could go out on the street outside the studio, grab someone. They have as much experience as you do of keeping us out of foreign wars. That's not an insult. That's just a statement of fact.
No, it's not an insult. It's a fact, right? And it is
Damn, but it sounds a lot like an insult.
it's also a fact that everybody else who does have experience in the foreign policy establishment has been sending us into no-win wars for a long time. Both of
Dude, Vivek would give Trump or give Putin a call, and he'd be like, "Knock it off, knock it off." Isn't that what Trump's supposed to do?
those are facts. Here's how I would do it. Let's get specific, and I'm glad we've finally gotten to the doorstep of actually discussing a policy agenda. Here's what I would do. Pull Russia apart in its military alliance with China. Those two countries are in a military treaty dating.
What the fuck does he think he's gonna do? Oh, dude, he's like Trump 2.0. Like, he's totally just Trump. It's like, how are you gonna pull Trump and Russia Trump. How are you gonna pull Trump and Russia apart? How are you gonna pull Russia and China apart? They're like literally bosom buddies. Like they are best of friends. Like Russia right now is about to have talks with Kim Jong-un, and China has zero problems with that. What is he going to do to take, like, we're literally trying to pull our chip production out of Taiwan because China is going to take Taiwan at one point or another. What does he think is going to pull those two countries apart? Let's let the man talk, I guess.
Back to 2001. That is the single greatest threat that the United States faces. So I would end the Ukraine war on terms that, yes, allow Ukraine to at least come out with its sovereignty intact.
Yeah, you're right, DJ. He's the wrong skin tone. Poor dude. Poor dude he's running, he's trying so hard. He wants to be their best friend. They're not willing to let him do that, though. I feel kind of bad for him.
Which may not even be the track they're on right now. But in return, and also make a commitment that NATO will not admit Ukraine to NATO. In conjunction, and by the way, for people in the foreign policy establishment, they forgot that Gorbachev was made that promise by James Baker in the United States in 1990. So keep our word there, but in return, actually make a hard requirement that Vladimir Putin exit his military alliance with China.
I've heard you say this many times.
No, he's not going to do that. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with these people? I grew up in a trailer park, so you have to forgive me, but that sounds like the dumbest shit I've ever heard. We're going to give you Ukraine, but you're going to pull out and you're going to end your relationship with China. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Russian military
this guy's
presence
a clown.
from the West. That's the deal that I would do.
Again, the fantasy land is why would Putin just agree with you? Why?
Yeah, but Redong. Obama, okay? Obama was a Democrat. Ramaswamy joined the wrong group, bro. The wrong group. But that's what you do when you grift, man. When you're grifting, you go where the grifting's good, okay? And right now, the Conservative Party is just like grift fucking central. It is the kingdom of grift. It is Griftonia. It is where you go if you're a black dude and you want to say, like, slavery wasn't that bad. Join Griftonia. If you want to be the young Indian guy that's like, I was totally an immigrant. And, vote for me because, like, I'll make you guys look not racist. Griftonia! God damn it, man.
Why? Because you asked nicely, Putin will hold his word. He'll pocket your concessions and not just carry on dealing with his biggest trading partner, China?
Well, here's the thing. I actually think that China shouldn't be his biggest trading partner. I think it's a mistake that we've closed off economic relations with Russia. I would lead both the United States and the West to reopen economic relations with Russia because Putin does not enjoy being Xi Jinping's little brother. Mehdi, you're a smart guy. Look at what he's done. He's actually sent weapons to both India and Vietnam right after the February 2022 meeting he had with Xi Jinping. There are cracks in that armor, but we need to actually open our eyes to see the opportunity staring us in the face.
We will have to agree to disagree.
Okay, I'm not going to say he's wrong there. Maybe he's got something that he's on to. But I think he is completely overestimating how large those cracks in the armor are. Vivek, buddy, this is why people are concerned, because people might not like Joe Biden, but at least as a career politician, he does have these connections and does know the game. Like, what Vivek's doing here is he's making assumptions about things that he has very little knowledge about. And I mean, he just admitted to it. He said, yes, it's like pulling me or Redonk off the street and asking us what we think they should do. Like, you know that you don't have the knowledge, and then you express with the utmost confidence that you would get two of the largest, closest superpowers to break up. I don't get that. I don't understand this, man. Maybe we find a way to get people to vote outside the traditional parties, Redonk. That's called ranked choice voting. Let's get ranked choice voting in there, and we can start talking about people voting outside of their parties. That's how we get that to happen. if that's ever on the docket and I'm allowed to vote for it, I will 100% vote for ranked choice voting 100 out of 100 times over and over and over again. Vivek was a guest on Flashpoint, a far-right Christian show, and it caused a big stir. Yeah, DJ, it's like, what do you... I just really... I think that these people don't understand that they're preaching to the wrong people. These aren't people that want to go forward. They don't want to go forward. They want to go back. I keep hearing it on all these panels and these debates and stuff. Dudes that talk about going back to the 1950s. Dudes that talk about taking away no-fault divorce from women because they should just have to stay in because that's what's going to create the better family. Like, you can't make progress by going back to the 1950s. Like, that's what these people want to do. And guess what? Voting for Vivek, that's progressive for the conservatives. That's actually, like, they're so far behind that would be progressive for them to vote for Vivek. And conservatives aren't ready to vote for Vivek, as crazy as that is.
Whether we think that you can persuade Vladimir Putin to drop his alliance with Xi Jinping, you have made truth the centerpiece of your campaign. So let's talk about your trustworthiness.
Yes.
For example, when CNN quoted you talking to The Atlantic about 9/11 and federal agents possibly being on the planes, you said the quote is wrong, actually. But the quote wasn't wrong. The Atlantic released the audio of what you saying exactly what they said you said.
Mehdi, actually,
let me finish the question.
Let me be crystal clear.
Let me finish the question.
The Atlantic released the whole tape. They refused to do it. Yeah.
You said on Twitter Spaces last month that no, you had never supported Bernie Sanders' Masks for All legislation, but you literally...
I just saw it. You said bucket, and I wanted to talk about that. Jesus is too progressive for conservatives now. That is the truth. I literally saw something the other day that said that left-wing people have begun to support Jesus too much in the fact that he was a kind, supposedly, allegedly, a kind person that you know, turned the other cheek and whipped the tax people and, you know, did all the, he was non-judgmental and all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, it turns out Jesus is actually a little too liberal for most of us now, so we're going to have to find somebody different. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, you shouldn't be, I don't know, you shouldn't be mad that people are saying the dude that you guys like is a nice dude. Like, we can't use him anymore. Like, it's the truth. That's a joke, Bucket, but it's not a joke. It's really happening. It's actually happening. Republicans and conservatives are starting to doubt their love for Jesus now because they're like, he's too progressive. What the fuck is this world? Oh, man. This is insane.
They put out a tweet in July of 2020 calling it a sensible idea. You also said not once but twice in June and July that the first time you'd ever voted was in 2020 for Trump, but in fact the first time you voted for president was in 2004 for a pro-choice libertarian candidate. How can people believe what you say?
So, Mehdi, let me just go through one by one. The Atlantic, yes, purposefully spliced an out-of-context quote where we have challenged them. They released the tapes. We asked them for the tapes first. They didn't give them to us. They waited then to splice them and release them publicly. I challenged the Atlantic to release that entire conversation. And what was a conversation about how many federal agents were in the field.
You said was wrong. We all heard it. We can play it if you like.
No,
it is exactly
play it.
Play
it.
To you.
Play
it.
Put
words in your mouth.
Look, if you want... If you want hard facts, here
Dude,
are hard facts. That
Come
day,
on.
The Atlantic printed it. I said, that looks like something that never captured the character of our conversation. Can you ask Atlantic for the tapes? They said they would refuse to release the recording to us. So when Caitlin asked me about it, I said, that does not at all sound like the context of what I said. And then, you know, it turns out the Atlantic releases a very... Everybody should listen to it.
You're putting words in my mouth.
It functionally sends the wrong message, Mehdi.
Oh, functionally. Okay. You could have said it's out of context. You said
it was so badly taken out of
wrong.
context that it misled their audience. It was so
sure
badly taken out of context, it was basically a lie and it misled their audience. But ask the Atlantic to release it. So my view here is,
the lie is
what I've
denying
learned
you
is
said
the
words that we
media
all heard you say
distortion
on tape.
filters.
Dude, play the clip. Play the clip.
Mehdi,
God
if
damn
they
it,
are
play
going
it.
to cut something before and after without the question of what the guy is that came beforehand, come on, why wouldn't the Atlantic, why are they so reluctant to release the whole recording?
Maybe
Ask
because the
yourself
audio
answer to
they
that
released,
question.
you're still
Of course it
denying
is,
you
they're
said
hiding
what's on
something.
the audio. Okay, let's ask you this question. Is Donald Trump,
It's a
as
joke
you say
that
now,
the media is going to selectively edit this, and this is the way this game is played. Politics is dirty. That's okay. I'm ready for it.
It's not edited, just to be clear. Is Donald Trump, as you say now, the best president of the 21st century?
Of the 21st.
Whether or not this is bad faith or not, this is a bad idea for Vivek, dude. What the fuck were you thinking? Like, why would you go on this show with the dude that they pay to debate people? Like, did you think he was going to toss you some softballs, bro? Like, did you think he was going to play nice? Like, that alone shows that he has zero idea what he would do as a presidential candidate. Like, if Mehdi Hassan is working you, son, what are you going to do against Putin? Yeah, at least he's making appearances. This is not a good appearance. Redonk. Going on. Like, if you're a fighter and you just go in the ring and get your ass whooped, is that good because you're getting in fights? You're like, well, at least he showed up. He's getting his ass whooped. Like, he hasn't had a zinger yet. He's just getting his ass whooped. This is like going in and throwing like 2 shots and dude just beats you for 5 straight fucking rounds. There's nothing. He's got to at least get a hit in. Yeah. Redon, we haven't watched one yet.
Century. Yes,
Let me ask my question. Let me finish the question. Is Donald Trump, as you say now, the best president of the 21st century, who you say you want as an advisor and a mentor if you become president? Or is Trump, as you've said in the past, in your books, on Twitter, a, quote, sore loser who is a, quote, danger to democracy and who did, quote, downright abhorrent and egregious things on January the 6th? Which one is he, Vivek?
So to be crystal clear, between George Bush, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Donald...
Okay. We're going to hear the words, to be crystal clear, a lot. He's doing a podcast? Yeah, but I could do a podcast and look good, dude. Come on. You got to be able to... If you're going to be the president of the United States, you got to be able to handle yourself in, like, confrontations, dude. Like, podcasts are great. I'll even give him the benefit of the doubt and go listen to him. You know me. I'm willing to listen to him. So I'll go listen to some podcasts from him, too. But I'm just saying... This dude should know better than this. If you're gonna go on a show and they're gonna bring up every receipt that you ever did, like Donald does have a lot of, yeah. I actually agree with that. You know that I agree with that. I've already said that.
Donald Trump. Those are the presidents of the 21st century. Donald Trump is unambiguously, as judged by the results, the best president of the 21st century. Kept us out of wars, grew the economy. I give him full credit for that. I want to.
Yeah, but every single president has grown the economy. Donald Trump added $8 trillion in debt to our debt. That was like fucking like, what was it? What is that? It was like 23 before he did. So that is, what is that? 30%? 30%. $8 trillion in debt. And I've said this before. I'm willing to give him a little bit of leeway with the whole COVID thing happening. But what people continue to fuck up is Donald Trump didn't have the lowest gas prices for the last 8 or 12 years. Obama did. Obama's last year was $2.25. Trump's best year was $2.26. When it comes to the economy, GDP has grown for over 60 years. So good job keeping it rolling and not fucking that up. That doesn't make him any better than any other one. Yeah, gas hit $5 here too, but it's due to the Ukraine war, COVID, global inflation, literal global inflation. Inflation in America for the last 2 months was 3.12% and then 2.97%. We're looking at a point right now where when we go into December, we might actually be at 2%, which is where you want to be for inflation. When you go into January and February, we might go into what's called deflation. And if you look at Obama's years between 2008 and 2016, when he went through the housing collapse and the bank bailouts, you can see a very incredibly similar pattern of where we're going to be looking at next year. We might go into a recession. We most likely are going into deflation. But that is how the economy works. Yeah, gas has been $5 for a long time, but if you think that's Biden's fault, you're just not educated to it. That's not Biden's fault. So, well, that's very, I don't know. Yeah, you can say it's never been that high, therefore it's never going to be lower than $2 ever again. I can tell you that right now. Once they got you paying that price, you're paying that price. I'm just saying something like Donald Trump is the best president. Donald Trump's tariffs murdered farmers. Farmers went bankrupt because of Donald Trump's tariffs. Like, that is the most disingenuous and dumb thing that anybody has ever said.
build on that foundation and take this country to the next level.
But you've also called him a
Does
sore
that mean
loser
I would have
who is a
made
danger to democracy?
Would I have?
And pointing that out. He literally called him a sore loser and a danger to democracy. Like, you can have two beliefs, but they gotta somehow come together, my man. They gotta come together. Yeah, I know you got a 1970. I've seen it. It's a nice looking truck though, Redonk, so stop bitching.
Strong words.
Would I have made the same judgments that he has made at every step of the way? No, I will remind you that I am running for U.S. president because I am best positioned to lead this country forward.
Can I ask you what they are, Vivek?
Yes.
You say he behaved in downright abhorrent behavior that makes him a danger to democracy.
Yeah,
what was it that was downright? Tell me what he did that was downright abhorrent.
Let's actually be really fair to your audience. So on January 10th, 2021, thereabouts, days after that incident, I wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal arguing that censorship was the real cause of what happened on January 6th. When asked in response, somebody asked me the question, are you... That's what I wrote. I'm giving you the facts of what I said. That's a hard fact. That was published in the Wall Street Journal. When pressed on, was that condoning what Trump did, my answer was no. There's a difference between a bad judgment and a crime.
And
we
you're
need
avoiding
to be
my
able to
question.
tell the difference in this country.
What did Donald Trump do?
No, I'm not avoiding
in your
question.
view.
He's
that was
literally avoiding the
abhorrent?
question.
I think that the thing that I would have done differently if I were in his shoes
not what I asked,
is
Vivek,
I would
with
have
respect.
declared.
See, this is the problem when people say things like, I'm not a politician, and then answer every fucking question like a politician. Just say, this is what I thought was abhorrent. But he knows better. Because if he says one bad word about Big Daddy Trump, he ain't gonna even sniff DeSantis's asshole. Okay? Like, he's like this close behind right now, but he can't quite smell it. He knows if he says one wrong thing right now, that all the Trump supporters will just fucking run from him. Because he's the wrong skin color for him. He's already one fucking negative away from just not even being on the stage anymore. Like, if he would answer these questions, like legitimately answer these questions, I'm just like anybody else. I'd love to see somebody come into politics that's like a breath of fresh air. Somebody new, somebody different. But Vivek's not it. He's not it. He's not even a hope. Because he's just like them. Just like Donald Trump was. Anybody that thought that Donald Trump was any different, Donald Trump hung out with every politician that was on that stage 10, 15 years ago. He was donating money to all of those people as a lobbyist. Donald Trump wasn't different, and neither is Vivek. This is not the politician you are looking for.
Re-election on January 7th.
I'll ask it a third
that's exactly the thing I would have done.
What did Trump do that was egregious, quote, downright abhorrent, and a danger to democracy? Can you just explain to our viewers your words?
So you're mixing two different quotes. But what did I think was reprehensible about what happened that day? Look, I think that the way a true leader should have handled that situation should have been to actually say, this is me running for re-election, not actually litigating what is already passed and behind us. And I would have done things differently. That is not a crime.
Okay, like, he just needs to say that in better words. If he's trying to say that Donald Trump should have just moved on and ran for re-election, then great. I actually 100% agree with that. But he's got to use better words. Why use language like that? Because he's trying to be indirect. He's trying to say something that Trump supporters can't quite understand. But don't do that. Just be honest. Just say he should have said, okay, I lost. It's time to move on. I'm running for my next election. That's it. That's all he had to do. If Vivek's trying to say that, I agree. But he's not, because he doesn't want to lose it. What do you call that? A single issue voter? Yeah, you're a single issue voter. I'm pro-choice. That's my single issue. Gas prices. That is yours, sir. President Kamala? Could happen. Could happen. You better be careful. But she'll put us all in jail for weed, though. So, I don't know. I don't know if I'm down with that. I like Kamala, actually. Kamala's got that mom energy, dude. Kamala throw a fucking flip-flop at you from across the room. Guarantee it. You better keep it down over there. Election incumbent. I don't know. Well, they're not going to impeach him anyways. They don't have anything on him. If they did, they would have done it a long time ago. There's a video of Kevin McCarthy talking about how they had nothing on him, and then Kevin McCarthy decided because Marjorie Taylor Greene held him down in the office and did that like spit thing where they like dribble the spit towards your head to like, did that thing to him. You know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is bullying the shit out of Kevin McCarthy back there. Marjorie Taylor Greene probably lifts more than anybody in that entire like Senate, House, all of it, dude. I bet she's stronger than all of them.
I understand.
And the reason I have been so vehement.
You keep saying what you would have done. I just want to hear from your mouth. No, unless you're scared of him, why won't you say what he did that was downright abhorrent?
I'm not going to let you you're stitching together three things from three different places to create a caricature. Do you want to have an actual conversation?
Yes, I want you to answer my question, Vivek. Three times I've asked it.
What
did Trump do that was downright abhorrent?
Hey, there it is. What Trump did last week was wrong, downright abhorrent, plain and simple. I've said it before and did so in my piece. All he's saying is just answer that shit. What is abhorrent? He literally, in a quote, he says plain and simple. Then fucking say it. Plain and simple. Say what he did. He won't do it because he's scared.
It's a simple question. It's your words. It's on screen. What did he do that was downright abhorrent?
I believe that failing to unite this country falls short of what a true leader ought to do. That is why I'm in this race, is to do things differently than any prior president has done them.
But once again, he's just using this like roundabout language. He failed to unite this country. Say what he did. Say that he cast dispersions on the legitimacy of the democracy of the United States. That he, without evidence, claimed that the entire election was rigged. Not just kind of rigged, but like crazy fucking rigged. Like, he literally believes that he should have won every state in America, including California. And if you think that Donald Trump should have won California, you need to be on SSRIs. SSRIs are for, like, Social Security people. SRIs. Because there's absolutely no fucking way that Donald Trump won California. That's insanity. Donald Trump had zero evidence. It's been proven in all of the indictments that he was wrong. It's been proven in the phone call to Georgia that not only was he wrong, he was told he was wrong by the people that work with him, by the people that he asked to investigate it, and he still went. Not only did he still go to the legislature and tell them that dead people voted, but he increased the number. In the phone call, he was told that 4 people did it, or 2 people, and then they did another investigation, and we was told there's 4 people. He claimed there's 5,000 people that voted that were dead. He then went in front of the legislature and said there was 10,000. So not only did he lie, but he exaggerated the lie when he went in front of the fucking people that he wanted to get to change the electorates. Just say it. You want to not be a politician? You want to be different than everybody else? Then stand up and actually say shit that's true. That'll make you a lot different.
That's the hard truth, okay?
And that's what made him a sore loser and abhorrent.
The media
yes, your words.
Well, the reality is none of that is a crime. And the reason I have been so vocal, the reason I have been so vocal is because when somebody actually prosecutes somebody for a bad judgment, and I've been clear.
I understand your objections to the litigation.
I would have made different judgments.
That's all I asked about. I understand.
That is a distinction we have to draw.
Understood. You say you are anti-identity politics, anti-affirmative action in a party that hates the Soros name, yet you accepted a Paul and Daisy Soros scholarship at law school that was specifically set up for the children of immigrants. It was an affirmative action scholarship. And your defense for that is that you didn't have the money to pay for law school, even though you'd already made over $1 million at the time, and made another $2 million.
My defense of that is somebody gives you a merit scholarship at the age of 24, you take it. At the age of 24, somebody gives you a merit scholarship, you take it. I didn't say I didn't have the money. I said at a time when I had a lot less money than now. $50,000 was still useful to money to me.
You keep forgetting your quote. You said, when I didn't have the money.
Damn.
So Mehdi, I made this really easy for everybody.
Damn.
And I did this in the early weeks of the campaign.
Yeah.
I released 20 years of tax return.
Dude, that's probably the most damage that they could possibly do to him. Right there. What do you think all those QAnon people are thinking right now when they see that he has a George Soros scholarship? What do you think all those QAnon people are thinking? He's a plant. He's a plant. Do I care? I care about it because he's saying he's nothing different than any other politic or politician. Everybody, when they talk about Donald Trump being a good businessman, what they're actually saying is Donald Trump knows how to abuse the bankruptcy system. Donald Trump knows how to sue people. Donald Trump knows how to like get around like every like regulation and knows how to lobby other politicians to get to be better taken care of. Like, I care about that because when a guy says that he's different than everybody else and then can't prove that he's any different than everybody else, then he's fucking lying to me, and I don't like being lied to. I really dislike dishonest people. So I get you don't care about it, but I definitely care about it because he's saying he's somebody he isn't. If he's not that person, then great, but he isn't. He's just like everybody else. He's every other politician, and he's no different. The only difference is that he doesn't even have any fucking experience. That's the difference.
Yes, you
Something
did.
that no.
He's not he took a George Soros grant. He's literally like out of one side of his mouth talking with people that literally hate George Soros and create a bunch of conspiracy theories that in regards to him being some kind of fucking demon, and then out the other side of his mouth going, yeah, for sure, I'll take that grant. Like, that is hypocrisy. And that shouldn't be in any way. No one should be rewarding that. I thought, like, everybody keeps talking about how they want honest politicians, but they don't give a shit that people do stuff like this? You're not going to get honest politicians by being like, well, everybody else does, it's cool.
Presidential candidate, let alone somebody who's successful in business, has done. I challenge Democrats and Republicans alike, including the Biden family, to do it.
And
you know what? I released it so that you could look at them, so we can have an honest conversation.
Much. And I appreciate that.
The funny thing I've learned.
I do appreciate that. It's something Trump should learn from you.
I think that transparency is important.
So
it's already open and everybody can see it.
Exactly. We have 2009.
But the fact of the matter is, you know what I would advise every 24-year-old should take
2009 and 2010. You made $750,000. You had the money to pay for law school. You didn't need a Soros affirmative action scholarship that you now criticize.
I mean, none of this is worthy, but if you think it is, let's get to the detail. That was actually the first big piece of money.
You say you're anti-affirmative action. You took a scholarship for immigrants.
I'm anti-affirmative action.
So why did you take a scholarship for the children of immigrants?
Which falsehood would you like me to address? The financial one or the one about my views on affirmative action? Because I can go in whichever order you'd like. On the financial piece of it, not at the
time. That's what he's about to say. Oh my God. Just admit it, bro. Just admit it. Fuck it. Redonk's willing to support you. And I'm not going to say there isn't a bunch of other people that are willing to, too. There's plenty of people that would say the same thing Redonk did. Like I don't give a shit. But the problem here is, like, you just can't, like, just say it. Just fucking say it. Go, yeah, I did that shit. Redonk, I would vote for you before I vote for Vivek here. Because at least you admit that you're okay with that shit. Your chat's got the 10-second delay. Oh, I'm sorry. My internet only works so fast, Redonk.
the time that I had applied.
Because I don't have a George Soros grant. I'm fucking salty.
For the scholarship that fall.
Yes, you did.
That December.
Yes, you did.
On
Vivek.
December.
This is awkward for you because you did. I've got the tax returns in front of my face.
No, it's not awkward for you. Yes, on December 31st, when the application for the scholarship was that October. Mehdi, you're wasting your time on childish details in October of that year when I applied for that scholarship. And it was, well, guess what? The bonuses that a hedge fund pays, and it's a shame that, again, you don't have to be an expert on this, but if you're going to spout out, you better know something about it.
Dude, when you say the bonuses on a hedge fund, when you're talking about bonuses from a hedge fund, and you're talking about taking grants that immigrants could have used, like, that's fucking sad, dog. That's so sad. Somewhere out there, somebody could have used that grant, and Vivek's ass took it, because he only made $750,000 that year in bonuses. He just hadn't gotten it yet.
it. People pay at a hedge fund the bonuses at the end of the year, and on December 31st, that's when I was paid. I applied for the scholarship that September, and I did not grow up in a wealthy family.
Vivek, you made more money the previous year.
I made $200,000 pre-tax or whatever it was.
No, you didn't.
And you know what? I believe.
No, you didn't. You're now selling flat. In 2009,
you have my tax returns in front of you. I don't remember what I made in 2009.
In 2009, you made 650.
Hold on. In 2009, you made $650,000. Do I think he was a person that? Well, that's what I'm saying. Redonk is he probably the biggest mistake he made with his crowd is accepting a George Soros grant. Like that's exactly what his fucking crowd is going to be asking now. Is the QAnons of the world are going to be sitting there going like, is he a plant? Did George Soros buy him and put it? Do you think? Okay, let's talk about this. Let's just go ahead and let's put it out there into the world right now. Do you think 4 years from now, or even next year, Donald Trump loses the election? How much of it do you think people put on Vivek? How many people in the QAnon atmosphere say that Vivek was there to sabotage Donald Trump's campaign? How much you want to make a bet? I'm willing to put money on that one.
$50,000. In 2010, you made less, $450,000. So the argument that you only made the money pre the scholarship, oh, so now we're bringing tax into it. We've been using gross numbers.
Mehdi, yeah, absolutely.
Damn, but 450 pre-tax is still like 275. You still made almost 300 grand that year.
Vivek, how much on this? Go back and check your tax returns.
$50,000 obviously makes a big difference.
And then you accepted a Soros scholarship for $50,000 when you didn't need it.
Well, you know what the fact is, Mehdi, is $50,000 did make a big difference to me back then, and anybody who has a few $100,000 in the bank is going to take
Damn. Vivek just showing how out of touch he is. Anybody that's got a couple $100,000 in their bank. Oh, fuck. I need to know the people Vivek knows.
$1,000 without strings attached. Take the scholarship. But my question for you is, why on earth are you, as an intelligent person interested in politics, obsessing over a 24-year-old $50,000 scholarship?
I'm interested.
That's a stupid question. That's a stupid fucking question. Why would he be interested in your past? Because it makes you who you are. It makes all of the things that you stand on seem fucking suspect. That's why he would care about your past. Just own it, bro.
It would seem beneath you. We have a country to fix.
That you wear.
And
I'm interested in truth.
And Mehdi, that's why I released 20 years. Mehdi, that is why I released 20 years of tax records. Tell your friends in the Biden administration to do the same thing. Tell your Democrat candidates to do the same thing.
We've gone over time.
We're breaking precedents, and I think it is pathetic. I just think it is sad and pathetic that that we have important issues to talk about for the future of a country, and you're talking about a $50,000 scholarship in 2010 to go to Yale Law School when I was 24.
If you just owned
this is
pathetic.
Nobody trusts you guys.
It is pathetic in your view, but you paid a Wikipedia editor who then removed it, so clearly it's something you didn't want people to read about. Last question, because we've gone over time now.
Who also said I was born in India? Who also said I was born in India and misspelled and got my wife's name wrong? So yes, we actually need to correct facts when people are playing this game.
Last question. You want me to ask a substantive question? Here's what I worry about most: democracy in this country.
I would love substantive
questions. Not just under Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Last question for you: not just under Donald Trump, but under you. People are worried about authoritarianism. You have preemptively promised to pardon Trump no matter what juries of his peers decide, as well as today extending those pardons to January 6 rioters. You've dismissed white supremacists as boogeymen and unicorns. You want to fire at least half the federal government workforce. That's over 1 million people. You want to remove the right to vote from 18 to 25-year-olds. That's over 30 million people. You want to get rid of birthright citizenship. In fact, you refer to voting and citizenship as privileges when they are, in my view and in the Constitution view, rights. It's a very anti-democratic worldview.
Okay, I'm going to give Vivek just a little bit of a win here. That was a bit of a gish gallop on Mehdi's part. That was not even a bit of a gish gallop. That was full-on 100% gish gallop. But damn, he unloaded on him at the end. God damn. It was like Vivek was trying to get up off the canvas, and Mehdi just came in and just dropped like 7 knees to the side of his head. That poor man.
What do you say to people who criticize you for that?
I don't think it's an anti-democratic worldview. I favor reviving the lifeblood of our constitutional republic. Revive actual free speech and open debate in this country. Revive civic duty in this country, something that our founding fathers envisioned. Revive true equality in front of the law, where people aren't prosecuted because of the color of their skin or because of the content of their political views. One standard of the rule of law for everybody. I stand for the founding vision of the country where the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who
He's not saying anything. He's not saying anything.
Actually run the government, when in fact most policymaking functions in D.C. are performed by federal bureaucrats. So yes, my standard is, would Alexander Hamilton and John James and Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, would they be proud of what they see today, or would they be appalled? I think if they walked around and saw Washington, D.C. today, they would be appalled. By the time I leave office in January 2033 after 2 terms, they will once again be proud of what we've created, a government with 3 co-equal branches, not 4, shutting down that administrative state, reviving civic duty, and reviving one standard of the rule of law for all Americans. And that is not a Democratic vision or a Republican vision. That is a pro-American vision that I think can actually reunite this country, which is what I believe I will uniquely be able to deliver as the next president.
Vivek Ramaswamy, we will have to leave it there. Appreciate you coming on the show, taking my questions, even if you didn't like all of them. Appreciate you taking time out from a busy campaign.
Thank you. Look forward to discussing more of the agenda in the future.
Next time, definitely.
All right. All right. Redonk. They all tell lies, but do you like the sound of his is what's important? No, because he doesn't have any substance. This is Trump all over again, dude. I'm going to fix healthcare. How? I have a plan. I'm going to fix, I'm going to increase this. I'm going to fix that. How are you going to do it? I have a plan. Like, he says a lot of words, bud, but he doesn't say anything. There's no substance in any of the shit he says. He says that climate change is fake, but he doesn't prove it. He's just saying keywords. He's Trump light, dude. All of these guys, every one of these guys, say all these words. No, we already shook the dice, Redonk. We shook the dice, and we got a motherfucker that tried to overthrow democracy. And anybody that would like to debate me on whether fucking not Donald Trump deserves to go to jail, I will happily do so. I can fucking read you fucking line for line every one of those indictments. He did. He tried to overthrow a democratic election. He's a treasonous ass traitor. I'm not shaking any more dice. We already tried once. I can't have that shit again, man. That's why we're in the fucking place that we are. We shook the dice and we rolled fucking snake eyes. We crapped out. I ain't trying to crap out, Redonk. I'm trying to play safe right now. I don't have a lot of money in the pot, okay? I'm trying to get a dude in there. Like, I once again, you guys want to talk about the CHIPS Act? You want to talk about the CHIPS Act? You want to talk about the next 10 years and how we are now set up to be one of the front runners in the fucking world? To be one of the biggest producers of the most important microchip that you can possibly create is going to happen here in America? You want to talk about the fact that most of the AI engineers are created here in America and go elsewhere? And they're going to stay here because we just put $200 billion into companies to fund them, to help them to keep those engineers here in America? We can talk about all that. Because that was all set up by Joe Biden. All set up by Joe Biden. And it's not going to be Vivek that does that shit. Where are we going to produce those chips? Right here in America. Right here in America. There's no fucking way. I'm super fucking happy with the CHIPS Act. That is the biggest piece of legislature that you will ever see in your lifetime. I guarantee it. Not only that, but the Inflation Reduction Act, here, I'll give you some stats. When asked whether or not people would vote for the Inflation Reduction Act just off of the name, like 70% of people, including Democrats, said no. When asked separately about all the things that the Inflation Reduction Act actually contains, 65% of the same people said that they would have voted for every single piece of it. This is the problem with America. We hear words and we get fucking inspired. Oh, I don't like the words Inflation Reduction Act. That makes me want to say no. But we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. All we hear is words. Key words. Oh, he said a lot of things. No. Fucking research the things you want to talk about. Look at what the Inflation Reduction Act actually has done. And then come back and tell me that we got to shake the dice. I'm not doing that shit. All right. Back to, we got to break it up a little bit because between people getting yelled at, Mehdi yelling at Vivek, we got to have some fun as well. All right, you guys ready for this one? And once again, this is the Lincoln Project. This is some funny shit right here. All right, here we go. Plowing with Pence.
Right. Yeah, you want me to work that for you? Well, this is a little bigger than my John Deere. Would you like to ride it? You gotta keep moving. They said I gotta keep moving. Okay. Wouldn't mind driving. You know what I like to say? What mother doesn't know won't hurt her.
Oh shit. Oh, dude, Renee didn't believe me that he calls his wife mother. Redonk, what mother doesn't know doesn't hurt her. Redonk, okay? I want you to remember that. That's right. Dude, there's some gold over on that Lincoln Project. There is some fucking gold. I don't know who they paid to make those videos, but they did a great job. They did a great job. You guys should go over to Lincoln Project. I already gave them a subscribe. Oh, on the other channel. We'll give them a subscribe on this one too. Boom. Double subscribe. Double like. Boom. Because we support good people. Dude, Mike Pence, Handmaid's Tale is fucking psycho, dude. I keep saying it. Okay, so we got to give Donald Trump this one thing, okay? Donald Trump saved us from the Handmaid's Tale because he made Mike Pence like the least likable Republican for Republicans, okay? And Mike Pence saved us from idiocracy by not overturning the election, or at least adding confusion to the certification of the election. We actually have to thank Mike Pence and Donald Trump for canceling each other out, because it was either Handmaid's Tale or idiocracy. We were headed towards one or the other, and they actually, in some kind of weird, strange coming together of realities, canceled each other out. I'm really fucking happy about that. All right, so this is a long one, guys. Dude, that dude, like, fucking was like, why are you touching me, bro? Mike Pence is like, he's trying to be like a real man, right? Like, he's like, hey, I hang out with the boys. You know what I'm saying, brother? He's not used to being around real people, guys. He's not used to being around real people. All right. So this is the big one. We're going to watch a progressive debate a liberal. Kulinski being the progressive. I believe he's progressive. Or maybe this is the other way around. I might be fucking that up. I don't watch either one of these people very much. You guys can help me out on this. But I've heard that this is a really good interview. Really good debate. I heard Kyle Kulinski does very well during this. I've only watched a couple of Kyle's videos, so I think that this should be a little bit of an education to me as far as who Kyle is and what his beliefs are. I have zero idea who Brianna Joy Gray is. This is going to be about Cornel West, Biden, and Trump. And Redonk, you did throw out that I should watch a Cornel West video, so this is where I ended up on. I didn't end up on the other one, but I did end up on this one. So, all right. So, if you guys need water, you need some popcorn, you need you a Snickers bar. I might need to get me a Snickers bar. Redonk's getting me all worked up. He's trolling me. Always trolling me, Redonk. Redonk's the whole reason we even have conversation here now, because he just tells me things I hate, and I just like yell back into the microphone. But I got the pop screen, so I'm not spitting all over the place. All right. Lincoln Projects are really funny. They're, from what I understand, a PAC Republican, started in 2000. Yeah. So you guys know I talked to John Anthony Castro, who's actually running, and I know he's a Republican and everybody wants to hate him, and you guys can do that, but he came on my show, and he seemed like a nice guy, and he didn't seem like a complete, utter human garbage, and he was also suing Trump at the time. Okay, so I actually like John Anthony Castro, and he told me about how he was involved in the starting of the Lincoln Project. So I don't know if any of that shit is true, but because I want to have known somebody that's important, I'm going to say that it was. So take that. He is running for president right now, but just like everybody else that's in the Republican primaries that can't get enough money given to them by rich-ass people, he doesn't get to be on the debate stage. But he is running right now, and his name's out there, so I'm super fucking proud of him. Good for him. Good for him. And if you haven't ever seen my podcast with John Anthony Castro, it's still up on YouTube. You can go watch it. You can see a liberal with pro-choice values talking to a Barry Goldwater conservative and having a good discussion that we may have disagreed on some things, but we came out of it like with an understanding of each other's values, and in a way we actually supported each other on a lot of subjects because that's what America is actually about. Okay, so don't judge me, bro. All right, so hope you guys got your water. Hope you got your Snickers bar. Here we go.
He announced his campaign. I mean, we're going back to when the People's Party thing launched.
Right.
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition, I'd say, of Crystal Kyle and Friends. Not only is it Crystal Kyle and Friends, it's also sort of like a dual thing going on. We got Brianna Joy Gray in the house, and this will be on her channel as well, the Bad Faith Podcast.
Little crossover episode.
Love
that for us.
Definitely. Looking forward to it. So we're going to discuss...
Okay, I'm gonna actually, since this is an hour long, I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. We're not gonna go Ben Shapiro, okay? But I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. If this drives any of you guys crazy, you guys let me know. I'll take it back down, okay? But we're gonna put it on a little bit of a higher speed so it's not quite as long.
Discuss Cornel West's campaign and everything around that. And I just want everybody in the audience to know, because I don't know if we've said this publicly before, that like he's been invited on multiple times and he just hasn't come on yet. And you know, this goes all the way back to when he launched.
Yeah.
We invited him on. He hasn't come on yet. You know, will he eventually? I don't know. You know, it's up to him. Ball's in his court.
Yeah,
but
and we had him on before.
We had him on before. Yeah, before he announced his campaign. I mean, we're going back to when the People's Party thing launched.
Right.
We invited him on.
Yeah, her name's Crystal Ball. She's from The Hill, right? I actually know who she is because I think she was on the Rogan podcast a long time ago. Her and the other guy, and that they had a cool thing where one of them was like a Republican and one of them was a liberal, and they like debated things, but within a really like good faith conversation. I believe that's where she's from.
On all the way back then too, and just haven't heard back or anything. But I just don't want people to think we're debating Cornel West, but like Crystal and Kyle are refusing to talk.
Dude, Lex Friedman needs to be on 2.0. I fucking love Lex. Lex is one of my favorite fucking people, but he needs to be on 2.0.
Cornel West. We'd love to talk to Cornel West. We want to have him, you know, we'd love to have him on at any point in time to discuss anything and everything. So we're going to discuss his campaign a little bit here.
It's a little much for me.
And
let's just
so
go normal.
I want to lay out what my position is, and then Bree, I'll turn it over to you, and you can respond to it. And Crystal, you can jump in at some point and say what your position is.
We'll go through all the things.
We'll go through all the things. So here's my, first of all, in the Democratic primary, because I'm a registered Democrat in New York, I will be voting for Marianne Williamson. Very happy and proud to say that. I'm the chief Marianne Williamson bro.
Nice, DJ.
I'm leading the charge.
Good pick.
Now, in New York, I'm in a safe state. So would I vote for Cornel West in New York? Yes, because I have a 95% agreement with him on policy, and I think it would be nice to get the Green Party in a position where if they become more viable because we get ranked choice voting or something, it'd be nice to grow their popularity a little bit.
Peachtree, no speed, okay? We don't do speed. Redonk does, but I don't.
And when we get ranked choice voting, I think they kind of automatically become a lot more viable. So
ranked
I'd like
choice
to
voting.
Help out in that process.
Fuck yeah.
But if I'm in a swing state and it's Biden versus Trump, I'm at the point now where I don't even think it's a tough call. I would definitely vote for Biden because either in that situation, even if other people are running, either the Democrat or the Republican is going to win. And in my estimation, Biden has definitely passed what I would describe as my bare minimum purity test. And I think if it's him or Trump, or even him or DeSantis, or anybody, he just blows them out of the water. And so I think I'd happily vote for Biden in that instance. Your response?
So I similarly was voting for Jill Stein in New York in 2016.
I did the same.
And I also happen to believe that strategically it makes the most sense to apply pressure to the Democratic Party by voting for not Biden in a primary. Marianne Williamson is obviously the most progressive candidate in the primary, and then vote for Cornel West in the general. And I know there are a lot of people in my audience who are frustrated by that plan because they think that it takes something away from Cornel West's run, or it affirms the Democratic Party in some way to vote for Marianne Williamson running as a Democrat. I don't feel that way. I feel it's a little hypocritical to have that position, given that we all just enthusiastically voted for Bernie twice in the primary the last 2 rounds. You can make a distinction saying that Bernie was an independent, and he always identified as an independent, and Marianne Williamson doesn't have that kind of cloak of distance from the Democratic Party. You can say what you want. I don't see those things as mutually exclusive in the least. So that is also my plan. I differ from you only.
I kind of like what they're saying there. I guess I didn't ever think of it in that way, and I probably should have, being in California. I know that that Biden's going to win California as far as the Democratic primary goes, but like I can at least like show that there are people out there that would like to see somebody different. I do like Marianne Williamson. If I wasn't going to vote for Biden in the primary, who would I vote for? I don't know enough about Cornel West. I need to watch some stuff on Cornel West. I really do like Marianne Williamson. I think that she needs more political experience, kind of like what we were just going over Vivek, so I guess I'd be a little bit hypocritical. I'm not interested in RFK. He's just a little too wacky for me. I don't know that there's anybody currently running that I would vote for other than Biden in this case. I think I'd vote for Biden. What about you guys? On the Democratic primary, is there anybody, if you lived in a state that was 100% solid for Democrats, would you vote for somebody other than Biden, and who would it be? Obviously, if you live in a swing state, I guess that's not even a Democratic primary, right? That's in the election. If you live in a swing state during an election, would you vote for somebody other than Biden, even though that may cost him that state? I guess is the question.
Insofar as that, I would say it's a more difficult choice in a swing state to decide what you're going to do. But I frankly respect people who feel comfortable. It has not been something that I have to contend with, but I respect people who feel comfortable voting third party even in swing states. And the reason is this, and it goes back to that early bad faith viral Noam Chomsky interview, in which I asked him about a month before the 2020 race. Look, I said, I take your point. Let's say Trump is an existential threat. Let's say that he's a unique threat among all Republican candidates. My concern is that every year, because we all vote for blue no matter who, because most Democrats vote blue no matter who, or most left-leaning people do, the message that gets sent out is that Democrats don't have a bar. You can go as low as you want, as close to the Democratic Party as you, Republican Party as you want, and there's a ratchet to the right effect. And Republicans know that they can keep being more and more extreme. And so I want you to explain to me what you predict to be the stopping point at which we're no longer saying this new Republican is the worst that has ever happened. This new Republican is the worst that has ever happened. Tell me you're not going to be saying the same thing about Ron DeSantis or Vivek Ramaswamy or whatever other person comes down the pike. And he was unable, in my subjective view, to respond credibly to that claim. So if some...
But, I mean, Ron DeSantis has some pretty polarizing views. To be, like, completely honest, Ron DeSantis has some really polarizing views. Vivek is generally kind of just like a bit too much like Trump. He's going to be compared endlessly to Trump. And Trump is the worst thing that's ever happened to the Republican Party. It literally shattered their party. I don't think that that's fair, really, to say that, you know, at what point are you going to stop saying that? Well, hopefully when they get somebody that isn't fucking insane. But I think Donald Trump has broken it. I think he's broken it. I don't think that there's... I think they need to heal. I think they need to figure something out on the Republican side and get the fuck away from Trump before they ever think that they're ever going to have somebody not say that when the next person comes. Because everybody's mimicking what he did. So I don't know that that's going to happen. Gavin Newsom, but Gavin Newsom isn't running, right, Nathan? I mean, if Newsom was running, I was just reading some stuff he did today about trying to clear the homeless camps in San Francisco, and I was like, I like that. I like that he's responding to the pressure from people to clean up the city, and I like that he's actually like putting forth some effort, even though he knows he's going to get a bunch of shit for it. Camacho, 100% bucket. If Camacho runs, I'm with it. Hakeem Jeffries. I've heard good things about Hakeem Jeffries, but unfortunately I don't know enough about him. Need to maybe watch some videos on Hakeem.
Somebody could tell me strategically what the stopping point is going to be of making this argument of the lesser of two evils. I would be open to the idea that, okay, this is the last one. Donald Trump, fine. He tried to steal the election, fine. That is a new line that he has crossed.
Yeah.
But absent an acknowledgement that we are creating our own destiny by lowering the bar in these ways, I'm not comfortable coming out and criticizing anybody who no longer wants to be complicit in that kind of a system that's enabled the Democratic Party to not have a primary, treat Marianne Williamson as badly as they've treated her.
Mm-hmm. But that's actually kind of ridiculous. Like, I'm all for the primaries. Like, I would like to see people debating even on an incumbent, but like, I think it's something like there's like 2 presidents ever that were presidents and then came out and held primaries. Like, that's kind of ridiculous to say that, and we're also in an extremely polarized time. I don't know that it would make much sense for the Democrats to have primaries right now. I would love to see it, but I don't think that it's a good idea, to be honest with you. I think that you would be putting Joe Biden in a place where other Democrats could tear him down and that Republicans could use that as fodder. I don't think that that's a great idea, in my opinion. I'm sure other people will disagree.
Treat Bernie Sanders as badly as they treated him and openly come out and say they don't have to hold a free, fair election. The DNC argue that in court, you know?
So let me explain a little bit of my position. I think that'll help respond to some of what you said there. And I'm also curious to dig in a little bit more to your analysis of how the Biden administration has actually been in reality.
Yeah.
So last election in 2020, I did live in a swing state. I lived in Virginia, still live in Virginia, registered in Virginia. And it did not feel good to vote for Joe Biden, but I decided to vote for Joe Biden, which is something I said publicly at the time. But I said something very similar to you, which is like, listen, this was not easy for me. If you, wherever you live, swing state, not swing state, etc., you do whatever you analyze is the right thing to do. And the reason that I voted for him primarily at that time, even though I thought he had an atrocious record in the Senate, even though, complicit in the Iraq War, complicit in bad trade deals, complicit, like terrible things on crime, all that stuff, right? The primary reason I voted for him was because of the National Labor Relations Board. And because labor politics and building out union power in this country, to me, is one of the most important goals, and something that I think we all share and leftists generally believe. Now, in retrospect, not only do I feel good about that vote, he's actually surprised me. Now, I've got all kinds of issues, right? On the National Labor Relations Board, though, specifically, they just issued a ruling which could be a complete game changer for unions. And just to explain to people a little bit, basically, in the past, bosses could union bust with impunity, no accountability. Now, the process going forward is completely changed. If bosses are caught union busting, then that's it. There's no more election. It's canceled. They have to recognize the union and start bargaining with them. That's the biggest shift in labor relations we've had in our lifetime. So that's why at this point, I'm not only, it's likely to, I'm a Marianne supporter as well, but we can all see the most likely outcome is it's going to be Trump versus Biden. Not only would I say that protecting the Biden National Labor Relations Board isn't important enough for me to vote for Joe Biden, but it is important enough that I would actively encourage, but I'm not going to shame them for whatever they decide to do, but I would actively encourage people who are in a swing state to vote for Joe Biden, if for no other reason than to protect that board.
So I think that's a perfectly defensible.
So, and I like what she said there about being surprised, because I was too. I voted for Biden for a reason. I actually did want, Redonk, you're saying nobody wanted to vote for him. I would actually say that when he responded to the question from, or the insult from Donald Trump about the 1994 crime bill, I was incredibly surprised to hear Joe Biden say, "We made a mistake. We made a mistake with the 1994 crime bill, and people make mistakes." And hearing a politician, everybody talks about wanting to hear politicians be honest. I heard a politician be honest. And I was like, you know what? Good. That's the person I want to be the president. And I voted for him because of that. I voted for him for a lot of other reasons as well, but that was kind of like, that was it. That's what pushed me over the edge. And at the time I thought he's going to get in there. I think he even said it at the beginning of it that he was saying something along the lines of he was only going to be a one-term president anyways. So yeah, I was with everybody else. Okay, yeah, we get out of this crazy polarized bullshit that we're into. I didn't know we were going to get even more polarized by obviously a former president trying to overturn the election. But I thought, okay, we get out of that, and then we move into some sense of sanity, and then we start having regular elections again. And obviously that's not what happened. But the one thing I have to say is that Joe Biden has surprised me. And it's either Joe Biden or the people that he surrounded himself with. I don't give a shit which one you want to go with, but those people are doing really good things. And if you actually educate yourself to what's going on in the United States right now, you'll agree with me. Because when you actually look at the facts when it comes to what's happening in the United States of America, we are doing good things. And we just came out of an incredibly tough time, and we're still doing good things. That's important. So when she says that she was surprised, I like hearing that, because that means that somebody says, yeah, I didn't think much was going to happen, and now look what happened. I'm happy about that. That's a good thing. So, moving forward, when we talk about, like I said, the Inflation Reduction Act, when we talk about job reductions, when we talk about our ability to control inflation, when we talk about, the CHIPS Act, which, like I said, is probably the largest piece of legislation, the most important piece of legislation in the next, decade, if not the next, fucking century. I think we've done incredible things. So you can say that Joe Biden ain't shit. You can say Joe Biden didn't do anything. But you have to at least admit that the people around Joe Biden that he surrounded himself with people that could get it done. If that's the take you want to take on that. That's not my take. But you got to give somebody the credit for all the good things that are happening right now. So it's either Joe Biden or the people that Joe Biden surrounded himself with. Because I can tell you what happened to all the people that Trump surrounded himself with. They went to prison. They flipped on him and wrote books about how they hate him. They're currently being indicted. It's night and day. You can't compare the two.
Position. And I had this conversation on my podcast in the last episode, and there were people who would characterize that position as, you've heard the thing, you've been on the internet, being too credulous about Biden, or, being too comfortable in one's own position in life and not needing enough change and being happy with the status quo. People will say things like that. I think actually that if your priority, if you believe the path to meaningful change is going to primarily come through a kind of, I don't say this dismissively, but a kind of labor incrementalism, meaning there are meaningful labor gains that happen, but are not the type of which would radically transform the system the way that some people want.
Okay, so and this is my problem with people, and this is the conversation me and John Anthony Castro had, is that what hardcore left people want is they want the fucking gas pedal pushed to the floor. They want progress, and they want it now. They want, as she just said, radical change. And on the right, what you have is you have all these people that not only want to slam on the brakes, but maybe even put the car in reverse. And neither one of those things is really the ideal way to get things done. What you want to do is you want to feather the gas. You want to hit the accelerant sometimes, and sometimes you want to cruise. But when you go too fast too soon, you get pushback from people. And I understand. I understand from people like the transgender community that want their rights now. They deserve their rights now. And for some of those things, that needs to happen now. But some of the other things that we're doing that we want to change about society, change takes time. And when you try to force change on people, you're going to get gnarly amounts of pushback. There's ways to be tactful about these things. You don't have to just be a fucking crazy person and say everybody has to do what I want them to do. You can say, you can convince them. You can show them progress. You can show them that the things that you are doing are actually working. That's how you get people to follow you. I've been in management for a long time. I've never once went into any place that I've ever managed and been like, I'm going to change everything today and everybody's going to be okay with it. That's not how things work. It's got to be a staff. That's what I'm saying, Redonk. But a good leader surrounds himself with quality people. So, at my job, I don't do the job of my department managers. They do the job. because I've trained them to be the best department managers they could be. Because I'm not great at everything. I'm really good at a lot of things, but I'm not great at everything. I need them to be great at those things so I can be great at the things I do. So surrounding yourself with important and intelligent and strong people, that's what makes a good leader. And that's one of the things that Donald Trump failed on the hardest.
To happen in a shorter term. And the way that some people might argue Bernie Sanders represented his movement as the goal of being, then that's a defensible position. But I have to hold space for the reality that there are people for whom, even as significant as those labor gains are, it's simply insufficient. And what they see when they look at the trajectory of the last 50, 60 years of Democratic Party politics, when they read Listen Liberal and see the longer game the Democratic Party making a concerted choice to back away from labor in a way that has gone on for decades and isn't necessarily turning around as a consequence of Joe Biden having some good NLRB appointments.
So let me actually,
then I want to jump into it.
So number one, I don't think that in massively increasing union density, I actually don't see that as incremental change. I mean, if you look at the chart of the decline in the middle class and the decline of union density, you'd be hard pressed to find a more significant factor.
I made these arguments as well.
But the other piece is, I feel like those same people who are right about the Democratic Party, they were right about the analysis in Listen Liberal, right about the fact that you had, this free trade bipartisan consensus,
What was that,
and
Kyle?
in large part a union busting bipartisan consensus, also don't acknowledge that there actually has been a notable shift in the Biden administration. Now, my big issue with the Biden administration, I mean, there's a million of them, right? On foreign policy, I've got problems. But my biggest issue economically with the Biden administration is the way they've allowed the pandemic relief, the short-term pandemic relief programs to fall away and leave a lot of ordinary Americans in a more precarious financial position now than they were at the beginning of the administration. And that's not nothing. But when I look at the long term, when I look at the fact that, listen, with the Inflation Reduction Act, with the CHIPS Act, with infrastructure investment, you're talking about industrial policy in a way that would have been completely unheard of in the Clinton-Obama era. When you look at not just the NLRB, which I said is the core for me, but also his antitrust appointments and the fact they're really trying to reverse decades of neoliberal attack on any sort of trust busting, I feel like none of those improvements that have made Biden on that front way better than Obama, way better than Clinton, I just feel like there's no willingness to acknowledge any of that whatsoever.
I don't think the issue is acknowledging it. It's how much it matters to you, how weighty that is to you, and how much you see those kinds of call them meaningful improvements as really core to the nature of the project that you're on. And I think that what some people are frustrated by is that this went from feeling like, in both left media and left politics, a bigger revolutionary project that was going to the core of our capitalist system and wanting to radically...
Yeah, but that's the problem is people need to understand that that change takes time. It's like we're like children. We're like, but I want it now. I want it to happen now. It's like, that's just not how things happen, man. You have to work towards things. You build towards success. This is one of the things that I agree with some of these conservative people, conservative talkers that they say and talk about goals. I think it was Jordan Peterson even that said it. It's like when you have a goal, right? You break it down into smaller steps to get there, because when you try to reach just that big goal and you decide to leap over all those other smaller steps, you're more likely to fail. You need to be able to take these down to smaller goals. And she's pointing out that one of them is unionization and support of unionization. You want to take those goals and you want to make your way towards that bigger goal. You can't just say, I don't like what he did because he didn't accomplish this huge goal. He's in his first term. Most presidents don't even accomplish their biggest goals until their second term.
Change the way that human lives are valued, what we consider to be the nature of our social safety net, what we believe to be the nature of what we consider to be human rights. And they wanted to join a movement that validated what many of us felt intrinsically, emotionally for most of our lives, that something in the milk very much wasn't clean. And Bernie came along and articulated that it was legitimate for us to be asking for something.
Okay, and can I just say this? She's brought up Bernie like 7 times now. It's when I love Bernie. I really do. I think Bernie is an awesome dude. I love the fact that Bernie actually is like the person that he says he is. Those pictures of him sitting in front of the police car in like 1919. Okay, I know he's not that old. But like Bernie's such a good dude. But I feel like a lot of these people are still so mad about Bernie not getting the chance to run that they're holding it against every Democrat from this point forward. You can't do that, man. It's time to move on. Bernie's never probably going to run again for president, and that's a good thing because Bernie's getting up there in age too. Bernie needs to be doing what he's doing, making incremental changes behind the scenes to help everybody else move forward. I feel like these guys can't get past Bernie losing out on his chance. I think that they thought he was that close to getting elected as the Democrat candidate over Hillary, and it being pulled back is almost kind of Trumpian. I mean, thank God that they're not like him, like Trump followers, but they do seem like they're holding on to this for too long. I love Bernie too, but it's time to let go.
Something more. And so at this point, it does feel as though there has been a kind of a bait and switch. It's not that what you're describing isn't true or legitimate. And I said this on my podcast. If your priorities are what you have kind of articulated your priorities as being, I think it's a perfectly legitimate argument. But I have to hold space for the fact that for many people, it simply is inadequate.
Wait, can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's going to be inadequate for a lot of people. That's what I'm trying to say here is that, like, you can't be upset that progress is happening, but you're not currently benefiting from it. Like, you have to look at it as a whole. You have to be happy. Like my business, if the store starts doing better, we're in a really tough time to be in a retail industry, right? So right now what I'm trying to do is hold everything together. So that way, when we do go into a recession, when we do go into deflation, we're in a really good place. But there's a good chance I'm not going to get raises. There's a good chance I'm not going to get the bonuses I was getting before. And that's okay. Because if I can keep the store together and all of my employees can benefit from me holding it together and they get raises and they have a better quality of life, it's okay for me to not get raises. It's okay for me to not get bonuses. I just want to hold it together and I want to make life good for them. Sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about the whole. Sometimes it's about making life good for everybody else, so eventually your turn will come around. But if you're not interested in helping others, then your turn probably isn't ever going to come around. Because when their lives go to shit, yours is probably going to go to shit too. It doesn't do any of us any good.
Let me jump in here. So my issue is that many people on the left are, I would say, dishonestly refusing to acknowledge any good things that were done. We could all on the left list, like, here's the 57 things we hate that Biden did. But when something good happens, I'm the only one talking about it, and then I get accused of being a DNC shill. Now,
and that's in life. We see this with Yelp reviews. All the people that, like, oh, all you see is the bad reviews. You go and click on any one of these people's profiles, and it shows, like, all of their reviews are 1-star reviews. The people it's the old media thing where they say if it bleeds, it leads, right? Like, people only give a shit about the negative. They only want to talk about the negative. They never want to talk, even in our police force. All we ever see is the cops doing bad stuff. We never see things about the cops doing good stuff. You're telling me all those cops out there, none of them do good stuff? Like, there's definitely cops doing good stuff. You know, even with our politicians. Like, I didn't know who Katie Porter was. I didn't know who Jamie Raskin was. I barely knew anything about Gavin Newsom, and I hated him. But then once I start looking into who these people actually are and what they've actually done without, like, just taking what is being spoon-fed to me, I started to realize that these people do good things too. Like, he's right. We got to stop concentrating so hardcore on what is negative and start celebrating the positive things. We should be motivating them to do good things. by showing appreciation for the good things they do.
I'm not like, look, I'm not blind. I think in order to be intellectually honest, you have to look at, here's the good things that happen, here's the bad thing that happened. I'm going to give them all to you. And then you could judge how much you value each and which one you weigh more and how that factors into your like voting analysis. But I was like the poster boy back in the day, or people viewed me this way, as like, he's the purity tester. He's like the main purity tester guy. And I didn't vote for Biden in 2020 because I didn't think he would pass my purity test.
Same. I've told you guys before, if you're new here, don't unsubscribe yet. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I said the same thing. I've told you guys before. I didn't vote for Biden either in 2020. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for anybody. And actually, Redonk, me and you are on the same page here. I was a little miffed. I was a little upset Bernie didn't get to go in. I didn't like being told that if I didn't vote for Hillary that I was an asshole. I didn't like that either. And I thought, what could Trump do that's that much worse? And Trump did a lot of bad stuff. Oh, he's saying 2020. I'm sorry. I didn't vote for Hillary in 2016. So a little bit different. My bad.
Now, at the time, people could go back and watch the video. My purity test was super fucking lenient. It was like, if I'm convinced you're going to do like 2 or 3 of the things that I value highly, then I would vote for you. Because I know it's basically down to just the Democrat and the Republican, no matter how much we want to wish the Green Party or Libertarians want to wish the Libertarian Party into existence. And so when I look at the record, again, I can list all the bad things, but she just mentioned the NLRB raising overtime pay, or you mentioned the thing where, you know, they automatically recognize the union if the bosses try to bust it up. There's also the overtime pay rule where now it's not $33,000, it's about $55,000 a year, where now you get overtime pay. That's a huge, huge change. Student loan debt reduction, and even Biden coming back after the Supreme Court tried to slap it down, and he said, no, I'm going to try to do it through higher education.
Yeah, that's another misnomer. People keep saying Joe Biden hasn't done anything about student debt relief. He's actually put forth like 2-3 programs now that have eliminated debt for like hundreds of thousands of Americans. Like, so you're mad you didn't get it. My wife didn't get it either. She has student debt. She didn't get it taken away. It's okay. Other people did. It's good for the economy. It's great for the economy. People keep saying he didn't do anything for student debt relief. He's done multiple things for student debt relief.
Education Act now. There's little things we could go after. Oh, the interest rate. Yes, that's bad. I agree with you on that. But we got to recognize that that is, all things considered, a step in the right direction. Pulling out of Afghanistan, he actually had the balls to do it, even when the media was shitting on him relentlessly. And I didn't see anybody on the left coming in his defense at that point.
I saw a lot of people have.
I was like the only fucking one. It was like me and Matt Iglesias.
I definitely defended him.
Okay, well then it's like 3 people. I didn't, and all these. Oh, I'm so anti-war. He pulls out of Afghanistan, and it gets messy because that's what happens when you pull out of wars. And all of a sudden, oh my God, you know, it's the
I thought that was actually a good moment for the left. I saw a lot of consensus. Good on you, because we almost resented and kind of were enjoying the extent to which he was getting, you know, dogpiled by the mainstream media, and we were the only ones defending him. So I would quibble with that a little bit. But
I didn't see much defending him. I really didn't.
Kyle, what people are responding to, if I can offer this, is not the idea that you are accurately describing advancements, good things that Joe Biden is doing. I think you could also say Obama did some good things.
No, you know? Biden is way better than Obama, not even close.
That's not the point I'm making. Okay. It's not that one is better than the other. You could also sit here and say Obama did good things. Now, the way you bristled at me saying that, I could say, oh, why won't you just acknowledge that Obama did good things? The same way that you're saying that leftists won't acknowledge, they bristle when you acknowledge that Biden did good things. And it's because we have different standards and we're making different kinds of comparisons.
But that's not my issue, because they're not even acknowledging the good things, is my point. I have a list of 47 things here, and I've heard nobody talk about any of them.
But let me get to the core of this point. The reason that people are frustrated with that kind of analysis is because it's been used.
Yeah, I actually disagree with him on the Obama thing. Obama actually held together. I don't agree with the bank bailouts at all, but I also know that I'm an idiot to not understand that. Like, that's well above my education level. I 100% understand that if the banks failed, we would be living in a completely different society as far as our economy goes right now. So as much as I disagreed with the bank bailouts, I also understand that they were probably pretty fucking important to keeping the United States of America in good health financially. I hate that I had to pay for it. But once again, sometimes you got to pay for society to stay together. Sometimes you got to go through bad times until you get to the good times. I felt like Obama did a great job as a leader. I thought that there was times where Obama could have been a very divisive figure that he wasn't. I thought he was an amazing leader. I think that he was great for foreign policy. I think we may have actually had the best foreign policy we've had in a very long time under Obama. So I disagree with him on that. I think Obama did a lot of good things. I think I agree with her more on that, and that is that he has a different set of values than other people do. I think Obama did good things. I think that Joe Biden has done good things. And I've told you guys before, I probably know more about the very few good things that Donald Trump did than Trump supporters do. Because I like to look into these things and verify whether I'm right or wrong about something. It's a lot like the scientific method. If you believe something, you should try to prove it wrong over and over and over again to make sure that you're right.
Used for so long by liberals to justify why people shouldn't be asking for more. I'm not saying that that's what you're doing. But if you bring up something like student debt, when the consensus of all of the student debt experts that I've talked to on my podcast, people from the Debt Collective, the Asher Taylors of the world, the legal experts I brought on, is that there was a path toward doing this, to canceling all student debt that would not have been stymied by the Supreme Court. The same authority that Donald Trump used to enact the student debt moratorium.
It would have been incredibly divisive. If she's about to say that he should have used an executive order, or what was it? It was one of the amendments. You got to realize that sometimes as a leader, you can't do what you want to do. You can't do what your employees want you to do. Sometimes you have to take the hard road and say, guys, calm down. We're going to get this done, but it's not going to happen right now. Because if he would have chose to do that, you already have this incredibly polarized voter basis. Like, this isn't a time to be tearing people apart. We're supposed to be building this back together. Hey, what's up, James?
Which has been ongoing until beginning of this month for the last 3 years, was the same authority that he could have canceled all student debt with a stroke of a pen. He chose not to do that because he decided to means test the program. He circulated those documents. I got one in my inbox last.
And am I? Oh, she's got student debt. That's why she's worked up about this. Okay, that makes sense. Isn't he also currently going through the process of using that old rule? I forgot how old it is, but it's super fucking old. And it's just going to take a really incredibly long time for it to kick in, probably like 2 to 4 years or something like that. But that eventually no one, not even the Supreme Court, can stop him from relieving the debt, the student debt thing. I'm pretty sure that's true. I wish I could remember what it was called right now, but I'm pretty sure that he enacted that, but it has to go through like this rigorous testing.
August, I believe it was, to see if you qualify for student debt. It was a very easy form. But when he did that, that started the clock for people to be able to challenge it in court, which what 6 states did, 2 of them were successful, and now here we are today. Not only did he decline to do the unstoppable mechanism to actually cancel all student debt, he additionally chose to use a legal authority, which when many legal experts said was the most vulnerable one. So you're now saying, well, he could have used the Higher Education Act.
He did. He did.
He could have done that
That's
in the
what
first
it was,
instance.
yeah.
But he didn't, and now he tried it again through the Higher Education Act. The idea that it's like it's a conspiracy, he doesn't want to actually cancel it. No, he appealed the case like 4 or 5 times,
Kyle,
and then at the end of it, when the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that, he said, fuck you, I can, and he did the Higher Education Act. That's exactly
That's what I was
we want
talking
him to
about.
do.
Yeah.
Then he does it, and people go, oh, that's not good enough. And it's like, that's ridiculous.
There, Kyle. What we wanted him to do was first and foremost just cancel the student
No.
debt.
I expected him to do nothing on student debt. This is the point I'm trying to get across to you, is that I expected nothing from Biden, and he did way more than I expected. Let's be honest about that.
It's not about your expectations. We have different expectations.
Of course I'm going to talk about it through my expectations. I'm me.
But I want to pivot this conversation a little bit, because what we really have is a tactical disagreement. We could quibble about student loan debt. We could quibble about all kinds of aspects of the Biden administration. All of us would like him to do more. There's no doubt about that. But hold on a second. Our political aims are ultimately very similar.
Yes.
But I do think the student loan debt example is instructive, because it shows what has been effective in terms of securing real gains versus what has been ineffective. Jill Stein, running in 2016, I don't think she was a spoiler, but the Democratic Party thinks she was a spoiler. They put that out to the public. So in the theory of change, where a third party would force all of this revolutionary change on the Democratic Party, that should have worked. But instead, it served to allow the Democratic Party to basically demonize and dismiss third-party efforts, and then they prop up Joe Biden.
Yep.
So that definitely didn't work. However, the fact that Joe Biden had to be on a primary debate stage versus Bernie and Marianne and a whole lot of Elizabeth Warren, a whole lot of other people who were pushing him on student loan debt cancellation, forced him into a position of doing something when he 100% would have done nothing otherwise. And we can see that now because
that's a good point.
The fact that they've basically like blocked any sort of real democratic process within the Democratic primary has made it possible for him to literally promise nothing for this next term thus far. So you can see how the third-party effort was not successful in bringing about whatever revolutionary change people want to see. And the process that Bernie engaged in and that Marianne Williamson is engaging in now was far more effective in actually delivering results. And that's what I'm focused on.
So first,
and I like that. I actually really like that. That's a good way of looking at that, is that these people are, and this is why I do agree that I wish that there was debates, regardless of him being the incumbent. But I know that it's a bad idea. We need to get a much more sane, safe place for politics. We need to get there soon. But I like that. I like that she's saying the Marianne Williamsons, the Jill Stein, the Bernie Sanders, put pressure on people like Joe Biden who may not have done anything about education, about the debt. They put pressure on him to say he was going to do something about it, to force his hand on doing something about it, because that is how our society should work. It should be a person that we trust to go into the leadership position, but they should feel pressure from all of those that surround them. They should feel the pressure of the people to make real and significant change.
First of all, you, I think, are both fundamentally dramatically overestimating and overstating and giving way too much credit in the second that you can make your labor point, the student debt point, absolutely not. Joe Biden promised and coerced people to the polls by saying he was going to cancel at least $10,000 of everybody's student loan debt, and moreover cancel all student loan debt for graduates of HBCUs. And he went down to Georgia, a state that he not only needed to win for the presidency, but needed to win for the Senate, and where there are 3 of the major HBCUs in the United States of America, made that promise, and people knocked doors and turned people out to the polls on the basis of that promise, which he immediately stopped talking about the second he got elected and reneged upon. He also knew the authority that he had to cancel all student debt. And I know because all of these student debt advocates have been talking about how they were directly liaising with his office and communicating these points, and they chose to ignore them and do a plan that he knew could be obstructed. You can say it's not a conspiracy theory, that's conspiratorial thinking, but it's either a conspiracy or he's an idiot. Those are the options. And I'm not especially comfortable in validating either of those things. Now, you were saying that you were looking through the prism of your own perspective.
No, I was saying I expected nothing from him, like we all expected nothing from him.
Absolutely not. The people that he promised.
I expected nothing from him. I expected nothing of Joe Biden. He was the guy who brought us NAFTA. He's the guy who brought us the Iraq War. He's the guy who wrote the Patriot Act, who wrote the crime bill. I expected nothing of him.
When a presidential candidate makes a promise to people and lies to them in order to get them to go to the polls, I believe that it's my job as a member of independent media to make it clear so that people don't fall for those kinds of mistakes going forward. People, if Biden wants to run as I'm a milquetoast incrementalist who's just better than Trump, he can feel free to do that all day and night, and then he would have lived up to the expectations that he set for himself in the context of a primary campaign.
He did run as a milquetoast.
He promised to cancel all student debt for every graduate of an H.
He literally was the milquetoast candidate. I said this like a million times. Joe Biden is the most milquetoast candidate because that's what they knew people really wanted to get away from the craziness. They needed to create a polar opposite of Donald Trump. And they did. And it worked. And he got elected. I think what Kyle here is saying is actually pretty fucking spot on. I get where she's coming from. I get that she wants him to be held accountable for the things. I think that we should be holding all politicians accountable. I think that they should be given a checklist when they walk through the door on their first day that says, you said you do this, you said you do this, and you said you did this. If you don't accomplish those things, then we have an issue. You should get graded. You should get a report card as the president of the United States. And if you leave with an F, maybe you don't get your fucking pension. Maybe you don't, I don't know, maybe should be a repercussion for politicians not following through. I mean, that's, obviously context is important, who they had for their Senate, who they had for their House. But I agree with what Kyle's saying here. No one thought that Joe Biden was going to do anything. everybody thought he was going to be the milquetoast candidate that just held it down long enough for Trump to go away so that way we could get back to like more sane politics. I'm pretty sure everybody was on the same page with that.
HBCU and $10,000 to $20,000 of student debt for people who earn less than $125,000 a year. Now that might not matter to you, and I defend you guys against.
Yeah, and James, you're right. In this election cycle, we need to take back the House, keep the Senate, and retain Biden in the White House. And then 2028 is a whole new deal. That's exactly what I'm saying. Biden was meant to be a placeholder, and he turned out to be a placeholder that got shit done. That's actually a fucking incredible win for America. He was meant to be there to stop the insanity just long enough to put somebody that actually would get shit done into office. And he actually got a bunch of shit done. And I want to point out once again, Obama didn't get the Affordable Care Act done immediately. It was in his second term. Because most presidents get their big deal, the thing that they claim was the biggest thing they could possibly do, they get it done in their second term. Because that's when they have the most, I guess what you would say, they're selfish people, right? They have the least amount of pressure on their shoulders. Because they know now they're not going to run again. They have no third term. So most presidents in their second term are going to go all out for those issues. So if you really do want to see that, I know, Redonk, you're not for the college forgiveness, but if you are, if somebody is for college forgiveness, then you should be looking to get Joe Biden back in office for a second term. Because if it's going to happen, that's when it's going to happen.
And claims that, you don't care about this stuff because, you're out of touch and it doesn't affect you in material. I think that some of those claims get really silly and overly personalized. But Biden made a choice to tell 44 million Americans who have student debt that he was not only going to not fulfill his promise to them, but that in the middle of the debt ceiling argument of a couple of months ago, the one thing that he was going to bargain away to get the debt ceiling passed was ending the student loan moratorium. So now it's not me. I'm not the one in control of whoever votes. He has to make the case to those 44 million Americans who's he's starting their student debt up. That's right. Months
is
before
the
an
plan
election.
stronger or weaker than what you expected? Because it's way stronger than what I expected.
Way weaker than what I expected.
I expected nothing from him on student debt. Nothing.
The real question, though, is we all want all of the debt to be canceled.
Duh. Yeah, of course.
What is going to what is the most likely path to get
Kyle
us
hops
there?
in with a duh.
Not Joe Biden, obviously.
Hold on. But I don't see how Cornel West getting 5% of the vote and unintentionally helping to reelect Trump, that doesn't get us there at all.
Let's get into that. So for
whereas
two things.
if you have a primary contender actually able face-to-face to pressure him, we have seen the way that can potentially work.
Those things aren't mutually exclusive. So why is that an argument against Cornel West?
It doesn't have to be exclusive, but do you think that the project of defeating Trump is worthwhile at all? Because I would turn back on you. You asked the question, like, where's the bottom of the lesser evil question? Like, where does that end?
I hate that.
I would turn back on you and say, where does it become not just a lesser evil, but like, actually, this person is significantly better.
Yeah.
And I would say that Biden, for my disappointments with him, for all of the things that I talk about plenty, including disappointments on student loan debt, including on the pandemic relief that I talked about, including on the railway, all these things, right? Ukraine. At what point, though, do you acknowledge that this person is a lot better than Donald Trump? And so when you're in this binary choice where let's not pretend like Cornel West is going to be president of the United States, it is worth making the choice in that situation to reelect Joe Biden and get the NLRB and get the antitrust stuff and get what is at hand to be gotten in this moment and live to fight another day.
So for one, Crystal, somebody might say, and people did make this exact argument against Bernie Sanders. Fine, he's on the stage, but I'm not going to vote for him. I'm not going to weaken the person who's ultimately obviously going to be the president of the United States. Why not vote for Biden in the primaries?
This is literally why ranked choice voting is so fucking important. Like, why are we arguing about this and why are we not arguing for ranked choice voting? That's what we should be arguing for.
You're wrinkling your brow because it's a ridiculous argument. I completely agree. I don't see the argument for Marianne and against Cornel West. They have nothing to do with each other. You can vote for Marianne in a primary. You can be happy that she's on the debate stage, which obviously they aren't allowing, which is material to this argument, I've got to say. Some people you're saying, what is the Green Party going to do? The Democratic Party has demonstrated that it won't host a free and fair and open primary.
I get that. But how does Cornel West getting 5% of the vote and helping unintentionally to re-elect Trump, how does that move us towards our goals?
So 2 things. One, you said this in the now viral clip, that just framing Cornel West as the spoiler, looking at those polls. In those polls that you referenced, Biden is losing in both of them, with or without Cornel West in the race.
Now, Cornel West makes it worse.
Cornel West is incremental worse.
I just want to clarify one thing. I'm not blaming...
Dude, 5% matters. It's not incremental. That's like, he literally won by what, 2%? It was like 51-49. Like, Cornel West 100% could sabotage the shit out of Joe Biden's campaign.
People are saying, like, it's their fault for Trump getting reelected or whatever. But I am saying we would like it if the way the Democratic Party responded to Cornel West would be to cancel all the student loan. But we know that's not reality.
So
we know that what ought to happen and the reality of what will happen are two very different things.
Let's get to the second point.
Yeah.
You framed the 2016 votes for Jill Stein and the reaction of the Democratic Party subsequently as evidence that a concerted movement effort to withhold one's votes has been proven ineffective. It is obviously the case, Crystal, that there was not a concerted effort in 2016 or any kind of structural movement to withhold one's vote for Hillary Clinton in favor of Jill Stein. It was just a bunch of us angry Bernie bros, a very small number, by the way, because we all know sitting here that more Bernie Sanders voters in 2016 bent the knee and voted for Hillary Clinton than Hillary Clinton voters in 2008 bent the knee and voted for Barack Obama. We all know these statistics. We've been saying them back at neoliberals for the last 5, 6, whatever years. That being said, there was no argument to control the media narrative and present an opportunity for actual leverage and change. So there wasn't like a group, there was no spokesperson, there was no politician, there was no left media that was saying, here, I have a organized movement, an organized group of people who are willing to actually change their mind and vote for the Democratic nominee in exchange for various concessions. That didn't exist. And I'm, by the way, not advocating for it. I know that some of my friends like Nathan Robinson have said that Cornel West should do exactly that, say that he'd be willing to drop out in exchange for various concessions. I think that's better than nothing. I think that's more than, frankly,
Yeah, I don't understand that point of view, though. If I was Cornel West and I really gave a shit about the United States of America and I knew there is no effing way I was going to win, that I was, in fact, going to take away from people that potentially would do the things I want and give the presidency to somebody that would potentially do a bunch of shit that I didn't want, that would be the exact route that I want to go. I would want to give concessions or I want to ask for concessions for me to move out of the way. I would say, I want you to cancel the student debt. I would say, I want you to make sure that LGBT rights are codified. I would want you to say that you need to do all of these things that I wanted to do as a president, and then I will drop out. I don't see how that is a bad thing.
I love Marianne, and I hope she's successful, but that's more than Marianne is likely to get out of this. However, that is not even my plan, my perspective.
Yeah.
What I am saying, though, is that knowing that the Democratic Party is fundamentally not willing to be fair. They're willing to rig the election. They're willing to change the order of the states. They are willing to completely block Marianne out of the media. It feels rich to say that running within the Democratic Party is manifestly and demonstrably more effective in actually changing the outcomes of public policy than Cornel West, who at very least, you're keeping very dismissive, Kyle, about this 5% matching fund.
First of all, I've said like 2 words in the past 10 minutes, okay? So I'm not being dismissive about anything. I haven't gotten a fucking word in.
Right?
It's the structural barriers against running as a third party, as rigged as it is by the DNC against outsider Democrats, which it definitely is. It's even more rigged against third parties, which is why they always get like 3% of the vote.
Which is literally why
Bernie got 43% of the vote.
Which is literally why people feel it is a structural advantage to get someone like Cornel West to 5% of the vote so they can get federal matching funds. To me, as a voter,
40% as a Democrat.
For me, as a voter in New York, I'm not interested in shoring up the Democratic Party.
No, that's him getting his ideas out. It's shoring up Cornel West. That's the whole point.
I am not a Democrat.
I understand that. That's very clear. But I'm saying that would shore up Cornel West.
And the people who also don't want to vote for Joe Biden under any circumstances are not Democrats. And fundamentally, you can make your argument. I think it's a perfectly legitimate argument to make to Democrats. I think that Democrats might think that Joe Biden is a manifestly better Democrat than other Democrats.
But it's not about whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. It's about what are your political goals. And I think that
100%.
we share a lot of the same political
But no,
goals.
there's a big one that we don't share.
But hold on. So I still don't understand. Just lay out for me.
Yeah.
What in the ideal scenario happens, and how does that constitute any sort of revolutionary change or help to further the goals that we largely share?
Yeah. I think for one, getting federal matching funds for third-party candidates, since I believe third parties are going to be a much better vehicle to actual meaningful change in this country than the Democratic Party.
I don't think it will.
Is infinitely more significant a goal.
But
than
third parties haven't gotten a single electoral vote
and
in
it's
50
like round
years.
and round and round and round.
No, but it's true because I mean, look at Ross.
No, she's right though. She's right. Like, God damn it, man. There's things that are statistically probable, and there's things that are statistically implausible. And the third party thing up to this point hasn't done anything to move the needle. I mean, zero. It's like if you're trying to get with a girl, if you're trying to like talk to her, and every time you went up to her, the things you did just made absolutely zero impact on her, it's time to do something different. You're not going to get the girl. It's time to change your behaviors. It's time to go work on yourself and then come back later. But doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and getting the same result is called insanity. The third party idea is shot. It's not going to do any good. It's time for ranked choice voting. I'm just going to keep saying that tonight.
Sparrow had all the money in the world. It didn't matter.
He didn't get one electoral vote.
He didn't get one electoral
Do you agree
vote.
that ranked choice voting needs to come first? That's the important question. Do you agree that if we get ranked...
Damn, they brought up my boy Ross Perot and I missed it. Hell yeah, Ross Perot. That's right, he got like 19%. And he didn't get one goddamn electoral vote. So, yeah, good luck with that. Uncle Fatty in the house? Dude, it's time to be stripping. Hope you're ready for that, Fatty.
Ranked choice voting, then yes, overnight third parties become more viable.
that
But
Cornel
until we
West-
get them, they're not
I
viable.
think that Cornel West running in a general election where he has been doing this. He's been talking about ranked choice voting in interviews, but continuing
there
to
you
talk
go.
about how
Thank
the
you.
onus is on the Democratic Party to prevent the spoiler effect. He is in a position now running in a general election every time he goes on TV to say, if you're upset at me at being a spoiler, you need to look at the Democratic Party, who across the country for the last decades has been purposefully undermining any ballot measures that effectively put into effect ranked choice voting in Maine, in North Carolina, the way they
I don't know if that's true, but if that's true, that's very upsetting for me.
attacked Matthew Ho. I am not the enemy, they are. And that's the burden shifting, the narrative burden shifting I think the left should be engaged in right now. To the extent that you think that Cornel West can ruin Biden's chances, isn't it Biden's responsibility?
I agree with that. If that's what's really going on there, then and I need to do some more research on that. But if that's what's going on there, and the Democrats are and I don't doubt that they are, a big part of keeping ranked choice voting from being an option, I got some questions.
Ability to find those votes, not among disaffected third partiers who don't owe him anything anyway, but the tens of thousands and millions of disaffected Democrats who aren't going to vote for him. We've all talked about this together. In Wisconsin, in 2016, there were 88,000 registered black voters who voted in 2012 who declined to vote in 2016. That's like 2 or 3 times the margin by which Hillary Clinton lost in that state alone. And yet we're sitting here talking about whether or not Cornel West is going to pull some third-party voters away from the Democratic Party?
It's the difference between what I would love to happen and the reality that we have experienced now. I mean, we tried it before in 2016. It did not help.
What did we try in 2016?
The third-party effort. Jill Stein was not a spoiler. It is not those voters' fault who voted for, like you guys that voted for Jill Stein.
But she got blamed anyway.
Trump. But she got blamed.
And then the left was further marginalized as a result of it.
So I don't see the connection. If I did, I would love to vote for Cornel West. It would feel way better to vote for Cornel West. I share his politics almost 100%. But I don't see the connection between voting for Cornel West and achieving any of the aims. And I see a much more direct connection between protecting the Biden National Labor Relations Board and allowing this little budding, exciting, amazing, potentially transformational labor movement to actually grow. Whereas if Trump gets reelected, which is, listen, it's the fact. Based on how the Democratic Party is going to respond to Cornel West's election bid, it is more likely that Donald Trump gets elected with Cornel West in the race. And that, to me, is a massive loss because we know...
Statistically speaking, she's just not wrong. I mean, she's just not wrong. At the end of the day, nobody that's going to vote for Cornel West was going to vote for Donald Trump. It's just like what DJ said there. Perot most likely got Clinton elected because most of the people that are voting for Bush voted for Perot. It wasn't the opposite. They weren't going to vote for Clinton, and they voted for Perot. Like, as much as I want there to be a third party, as much as I think that both the Republicans and the Democrats don't want anything to do with ranked choice voting because it ruins their deal, their strategy. Like, a third party's not we've done it over and over and over again. And nothing. Zero.
Know what his record is. We know what his National Labor Relations Board was. We know who his labor secretaries were and how they were engaged in all this union busting. And so I see a much more direct connection between that moving the ball in our direction than, Cornel West getting 5% and either his candidacy not really mattering at all or being used once again to,
44.9 million for Clinton, 39.1 million for Bush, 19.7 for Perot. Oh, that's the percentages. Oh, no, that's million, huh? Holy shit, that's crazy. Yeah, 100% he would have won. Those are all George Bush votes. Has there been a third-party Republican since Perot? Somebody help me out with that. That would be pretty interesting to find out whether or not there's been a third party. Dude, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, didn't Roseanne run as a? She ran as a socialist though, right?
Smear the left and marginalize the left and say these are just the people that are interested in getting Trump elected.
So to that second point, I'm just going to be honest. Not only do I not care about arguments that the left is going to be smeared, I think it's silly because no matter what we do, the left is going to get smeared. Bernie won Nevada, and it was, oh my God, we're going to decapitate people in Central Park. It is, I think, deeply unrealistic to expect that there's ever going to be a left movement that genuinely challenges power in this country that's not going to be smeared. And if you are choosing your political strategy on the basis of what's going to get you a pat on the head from MSNBC, I know that's not what I don't mean to mischaracterize you, but that is naive.
Listen, that's fine, and I agree with you. Left is going to be smeared, but the question is, what is actually going to move the ball forward?
I'm confused by why you keep asking that.
Because I don't see...
Because policy is all that matters at the end of the day.
I don't see how Cornel West getting 5% and helping to re-elect Trump ends up with things going in a better direction.
Like that, Crystal? He gets 5%, and then the Green Party, a third-party effort, it gets stronger and more well-funded and more able to compete in future elections.
Until we have ranked choice voting, there is no even 1% viability for them. Can you admit that? Can you acknowledge that it's until we get ranked choice voting, no third party has any chance in hell? You agree with that, right?
Who do you think has been doing most of the ranked choice? Who do you think?
She's not going to answer that.
It's a simple question.
I'm going to answer it in my own time, in my own words, Kyle, respectfully.
It's a simple one. The ranked choice voting thing, if we get ranked choice voting...
I go around, I do a lot of podcasts. And I don't know what's going on right now. It might be the phase of the moon. We had the double moon last month. But I'm getting a little...
Did she just go astrology? Oh my God. This shit is getting spicy though now. Oh, it did. The title was correct. I was like, this isn't spicy. They're having a pretty good faith conversation here. I don't like everything that she's saying, but a lot of what she's saying is, coming from a good place, I think. And, poor Kyle's over there just not saying much, trying to do his best to get his points in when he can, and it looks like he just pissed her off. She is mad now.
A little frustrated with feeling shouted down and disrespected in every single space that I go into. I gotta say, I promise I'm gonna answer your question, Kyle. Sit tight. I got it coming for you.
I'll sit tight.
Who do you think has been doing the bulk and the best funded ranked choice voting advocacy in terms of getting it on ballots and getting it passed in the United States of America.
I'm going to guess it's not a Republican or a Democrat, so I think she's going to win on that one.
Third-party voters.
The Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
Because unlike the Green Party, I'm no fan of the Libertarian Party, but for obvious reasons, they were enormously better funded than the Green Party. And they, as a consequence, have been able to make much greater gains in actually getting ranked choice voting passed around the country. What I'm saying is that there's a tangible material benefit to getting more money for a Green Party, whatever third party happens to be, but right now all we have is the Green Party for obvious reasons. Getting them more money to do the work across the country to advance third parties, ranked choice voting rather, is exactly the goal that you're articulating. So yes, I do see a direct connection.
There's just got to be a better way, though. There's got to be a better way than like sabotaging the Democratic Party and potentially losing to Donald Trump in 2024. I mean, there has to be a better way.
Between your goal, your stated goal of getting ranked choice voting and voting for the Green Party. You know who's not going to fight for ranked choice voting? The Democratic Party.
Here's my point. There's not even a 1% chance or a 0.1% chance of Cornel West winning unless or until we get ranked choice voting. So I have to be honest, I feel like it's self-disenfranchisement to really put all your effort into third parties before we get ranked choice, putting the cart before the horse, in my opinion. That's my point. And on the issue of Democrats versus Republicans, we know either the Democrat or the Republican is going to win. And clearly we have a disagreement in terms of how good of a job Joe Biden is doing. Because like I said, I expected nothing of him, Brianna. I expected, this is the guy who brought us the Iraq War and the Patriot Act and NAFTA, and he's like the poster child of the conservative Democrat and the neoliberal. But then he gets in office and he does all these things which shock me. He massively reduced the drone war by over 90%. He, like I said, pulled out of Afghanistan. The Supreme Court overturned the EPA's ability to regulate greenhouse gas emissions, and the Democrats slipped into the IRA a provision that redefines carbon as a pollutant, which then allows the EPA to start protecting the environment again. If we didn't get that, and yes, that was brought to us by Democrats, we would be beyond fucked on the issue of climate change. We still are, but we'd be even more fucked if the EPA couldn't do basic EPA stuff. We have project labor agreements for hundreds of thousands of construction workers. That came to us from Biden. $15 minimum wage for federal contractors and employees. That's from Biden. Gun reform with red flag laws and closing the boyfriend loophole. Those are definitely good things. Ketanji Brown Jackson on the court. A George Floyd executive order to create a registry of abusive cops. We have the PACT Act, which is health care for veterans exposed to toxic burn pits, which every single Republican voted against. He added 800,000 manufacturing jobs. I didn't expect any of these things. So when I talk about Biden the way I do, it's because none of these things were on the menu and we got them. So now when I look at the fact it's either going to be Trump or Biden, a standard generic Republican or standard generic Democrat.
Literally pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised.
The way I feel now versus the way I felt in the past is like, oh, this is definitely way better. If you ask me in 2019 or 2020, I'd be like, I don't know, man, flip a coin. 52% maybe a Democrat's a little bit better than a Republican. Now I'm looking at it like, it's not even close. One blows the other out of the water, and all I care about is the policy. And when we have all these policies, I mean, we have a 15% corporate minimum tax rate now. That is not something we had previously. You'd have corporations paying nothing in taxes, or they'd even get a negative tax rate, which is a subsidy, effectively, from the taxpayers. These things are not nothing. We have a 1% tax on stock buybacks. They're cracking down on wealthy tax cheats. Like, all these things are very good. They're objectively good. So do you agree that Biden is better than what we expected on the left?
Maybe you've already set your expectations on the ground, and it seems like he's surpassed your expectations. He has not surpassed mine. I don't know what you want me to say.
But he's not better than what you thought?
No,
that's
he's not better than what I thought he was.
Really?
No.
So you expected to be better than I did, for sure.
I expected him to... Well, I didn't really expect him to fulfill his campaign promises.
Wow. Dude. Okay, I know the podcast is called Bad Faith, but, like, that's super bad faith. Like, she's literally just not letting him have the point. Like, that's his point. You just said it. You said you didn't think that he would follow through. Like, so you're telling me you thought he'd do all those other things, but not follow on through on the things you like, that doesn't really compute. It's kind of, like I said, name of the podcast is Bad Faith.
When he so flagrantly lied about them, no.
But let me ask you a related but different question. I mean, how do you assess the difference between a Trump and a Biden? Acknowledging that, I mean, I think you would acknowledge it's not, Cornel West is not going to be president.
I'm going to be honest with you. If it's about convincing me how Brianna Dre Gray is going to vote. Brianna Dre Gray lives in D.C., is constructively disenfranchised, and Brianna Dre Gray also is sympathetic to accelerationist arguments. So I am not afraid of Trump, and I will never for the rest of my life, I don't care if I live in Pennsylvania, I don't care if I live in Georgia, vote out of fear. That's not who I am. That's not who I was raised. That's just me. And I recognize that I am radical.
Yeah, but that doesn't, you don't have to be afraid. I'm not afraid of Donald Trump either. I'm one of these people that says, it's fine. If he wins, we have 4 years, and then we get the house back in order. Like, I don't want it to happen. I'm going to vote against it happening, but I'm not going to freak the fuck out. I'm gonna go, okay, that's fine. 4 years. I just got to buckle down. This is just like what I was saying about my business. There's times when shit isn't great, but you can't do much about it. And during those times, what you do is you bring everything in, you batten down the hatches, you weather the storm. Like, I don't live in fear either, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to demean the positive gains of the people that have done the work already, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to then apply the negative to what they could possibly do in the future. Like, that just seems like these two things, they don't have to coexist.
I recognize I'm not telling anybody to be like me, but that's who I am.
So, but just to get back to the question, I mean, do you acknowledge that Biden is better than Trump? I genuinely want to know, like, how do you assess? Do you see they're like roughly the same?
I think it depends on what metric they're using. There are people who will take everything that you just said and say, if Biden escalating in Ukraine the way he has been doing, missiles going off deeper, closer to Russia,
true.
that are Western in origin, and the doomsday clock ticking down on World War III the way it has been done, cancels out all of the meaningful gains that you just articulated so nicely. If it comes down to World War III versus that litany of achievements that you just...
She literally just said she doesn't live in fear. What the fuck? She said she doesn't live in fear, and then she just goes literally to World War III. You can't say you don't live in fear and then go straight to World War III.
People that, with the hindsight of living in the nuclear holocaust, would say, well, I guess that Trump actually was a better president.
I don't want
Who's
to know
more likely to get us World War III, though? I definitely think it's Trump. I definitely think it's Trump more likely to get us World War III.
I don't want to know what people
I actually
think.
disagree with that.
I want to know what you think. Do you think that that's accurate? Because to me, I look at the...
Trump would sell us down the river so quick.
What history is going to do. I wouldn't have expected that under Biden we would have gotten in the middle of this war with Ukraine and Russia. I would not. That wasn't on my bingo card either.
Yeah, but we know that Trump was actually more hawkish towards Russia than
he built up on NATO's border.
Obama
he put
was.
troops on NATO's border.
We know what he did with Iran. We know
I
he
didn't know
said
that.
he was going to get on Afghanistan.
I'm
Biden
wrong.
actually did it. So we can
I'm wrong.
evaluate these two claims. We shouldn't believe anything that Donald Trump says about Ukraine.
A toxic. This is literally just a vote blue no matter who a lesser two evils
No, it's a
conversation.
let's discuss the facts and how you weigh them conversation.
How about this? Biden can be 10 times better than Trump. Let's concede that for the sake of argument. I'm not voting for him. And millions of other people feel the same way.
She just said it's a vote. Oh my God. She is just like contradicting herself every other word. Maybe she's just triggered right now. She is just having a really hard time. She is not staying consistent at all.
Because it has absolutely nothing to do with that. I don't know how else to express this to you guys. Kyle, it's not that there is a disinterest or a failure to recognize what are meaningful changes. But there is a realization that acknowledging gains, when the possibility of what someone could be doing to help the population that elected them, when there is a huge gap there, it can be papered up by championing someone's accomplishment.
She's like the partner that's like, yeah, you do a lot for me, but you could do a lot more for me. Dude, yeah, I agree. She's been on defense in time. Well, I don't actually agree with that, Redonk. She's had some attacks of her own. I would say she's been on defense more, for sure. I think she has been on defense more, but I do think she's also had some attacks as well. I don't like the inconsistency. You can't say this is literally a vote blue or don't vote at all, and then turn around and go, no matter what, I'm not voting for Biden. That's like saying the same thing, but from the other side. That's hypocrisy. Kyle's point is that you should be voting based off of which candidate is going to do the more positive things for the United States of America, which 100% is a logical point of view. I mean, that is actually what we should be voting on. We should be saying, what will Biden do? What will Trump do? And then we should be determining off of those two things, pros and cons, pros and cons. We should be weighing the two of them and then saying, okay, that's who I want. That's how I vote. That's like saying, I don't care if Biden is 10 times better than Trump, I will never vote for Biden, is doing exactly what she just accused him of. That's inconsistent and it's hypocritical. 96 Clinton. Oh, dude, yeah. Bob Dole, Ross Perot, and Clinton. Did he run twice? Did Perot run twice? Is that what you're saying? Oh, shit. She's super self-contradicting right now.
And people are reluctant to give credit precisely because they think it will end the conversation about how much further people should be pushed. So it feels akin to saying, Jeff Bezos was walking down the street and he gave a $5 to a homeless person.
It's not that. Oh my God.
Don't you want to pat him on the back?
That's
and
bad
it's like,
faith.
On some level, I'm glad the homeless guy can give his sandwich. But your framing of the student debt issue
is accurate. Yes.
A much better analogy would be Jeff Bezos is walking down the street. You didn't expect him to give anybody any money, and he gave away like 3/4 of his fortune. That's a much better analogy, because literally he said he has 47 things he has. I'm better researched on Trump and the things that Trump did well than almost anybody I've ever met, and I can name like 4. Okay? He has 47. That is nothing like Jeff Bezos walked down the street and gave a $5 to a homeless person. That, once again, that's super bad faith. That's very like you're reductive, right? No. Sorry, not reductive. It is you are not giving credit where credit is due strictly because you don't like the person that you have to give credit to. I give credit to Trump on the few things that he did right, even though I dislike him, because that's what you should do.
Precisely what the problem is.
It's not a problem. Look, I am actually discussing the facts that I learned through reading 1,000 articles on the case. Now, if I bring up those facts and it triggers some idiots into hating me, so be it. They can hate me all they want. The facts still matter.
What are you talking?
Me and Kyle are on the same page.
Okay, I didn't expect him to appeal the cases. He appealed the cases. I didn't expect him to do the Higher Education Act after the Supreme Court slapped it down. He did the Higher Education Act. I didn't expect him to do any of it, and he did it. And this is something that, if I said early on, Biden's going to do nothing on student loan debt, everybody on the left would have been like, you're right, he's going to do nothing. Now he does 5, 6 different things on it, and it's like people go, no, doesn't count. I'm not saying what he's doing is perfect. Obviously, the best thing to do is to wipe it all out through executive order, and he has the authority to do that. That'd be the best thing to do. He didn't do that, but can we at least acknowledge the facts of what went down? And I see this rugged insistence. Honestly, it's like Biden derangement syndrome among some people on the left.
And can I say this one more fucking time? And that is, our political position right now is super polarized. You already have all these people on the right and some people on the left even that are claiming that people are doing too much to control them. They're doing too much. They're forcing things down their throats. They're forcing LGBT down their throats. They're forcing like all this progressive ideology down their throats. If he were to use an executive act, like, that would trigger the fuck out of all of those people on the right and certain people on the left that don't want anything to do with paying the college debt. It would be a massively bad idea for Joe Biden to use an executive order to pay off college debt. It would just be a terrible move on his part, and it's actually really smart that he hasn't done it. These people just have never been in any position of leadership. They don't understand that you just can't do that just because I want to. You don't think that if in his mind he thought that he would 100% win being the president next term by canceling everybody's debt, that he wouldn't have done it already? Like, are you fucking kidding me?
And it's like Democrat derangement syndrome among some people on the left. The fact that we can't all agree very quickly that, well, obviously Democrats are not 10 times better than Republicans. They're 100 times better than Republicans. And even if you are somebody who's a purist and you're on the left, you can acknowledge a W in the instances you get it while still pushing for more. I mean, a perfect example is what's happening in Minnesota right now. Minnesota has a 1-seat Democrat majority. We got universal free school meals, legal weed, carbon-free electricity by 2040, tax rebates for the working class up to $1,300 if you make under $150,000 a year, 12 weeks paid family leave, 12 weeks paid sick leave. They banned conversion therapy. They did red flag laws for guns. They did universal background checks for guns. They did automatic voter registration, public free college if you make under 80K, a ban on PFAs, which is the forever chemicals, $2.2 billion increase in K-12 school funding, sectoral bargaining for nursing home workers. These things are all not
I'm moving to Minnesota.
little wins. They are huge wins. And I still see this insistence like we're back in 2016 or something where people are like, no, Democrats and Republicans are either equally bad or actually jujitsu move, Republicans are the lesser evil.
Right.
And I think it's idiotic.
That's what I
It's
just said,
humorous,
yeah.
It's nihilist. It's people who are refusing to acknowledge reality, and they'd rather narrative hump all day talking about Democrats are so bad, Democrats are so bad, Democrats are so bad, but oh yeah, I'm a leftist.
She wants a smile. I don't give a shit. Whatever she's about to say, she was biting her lip. She was trying not to smile. He did a good job. He came with facts. This is what I keep fucking talking about. All I hear from people is, I believe X. And then when you ask them, why do you believe X? They go, this. Okay, where did you get that from and why do you believe it? No answer. Zero answer. Because everybody knows their surface opinion and the article that they may have read it from. Maybe. Most of the time, people can't even fucking tell you that. But they don't know anything else. They don't know why they believe the things they do. They don't know why it even matters to them most of the time. She knows he did a good job there. She had to bite it back a little bit, but she knows he did a good job there.
The student debt point, it is kind of telling to me, Kyle, that you so quickly, you injected your own low subjective, personal, and low expectations into the argument to say, well, because Joe Biden did more than I subjectively believed was possible, you're accusing me of minimizing the accomplishments. I think that you might be minimizing his failures in the extent to which that he knowingly, it seems, lied about what he was.
Okay, the only failure that she's pointed out this entire time, the only one that she has pointed out this entire conversation is student debt relief, which she admitted she got an email on, so obviously this is very personal to her. Very personal. And even then, it wasn't a complete failure. Not only has he already discharged debt for hundreds of thousands of Americans, he's also got in the works, currently being looked at, the Education Act the Higher Education Act, which does take a very long time for it to go through. So what she's really complaining about is that she didn't get her food right now, that she has to wait for it. Is that really worse? Does that really offset all of those things that he just talked about? The 47 things that he has? The union thing that Crystal Ball talked about? All of that is offset by the fact that you only got like half of what you wanted from student debt relief? This is insanity.
Willing to do, and in fact, dramatically underachieved his campaign promises. And for you, that might be a hop, skip, and a jump. Okay, but he did more than I expect. You're setting your expectations lower than the expectations that he set for the American public in the context of his campaign. And I
don't disagree with that.
And appreciate that doesn't bother you as much as it bothers me. I don't know if it's because I have experienced six-figure student debt. I don't know your life.
I'm just going to keep pushing that out there. She obviously has a dog in this fight. She was mad about the Bernie shit for the first half. She's mad about student debt relief the second half. Like, I'm sorry, but the podcast is bad faith and is living up to it. Because she's not arguing, she's not debating to learn anything. She's not debating to say, oh, okay, like actually there's some things there that you say that makes sense. There's some stuff there that I think that I can agree with. She only wants those two things. She's mad Bernie got fucked, and she's mad that she is not getting her debt paid off for her. Or even I'll be I'll be good faith here. She could even be mad that other people are experiencing or not experiencing that debt relief. Maybe she's paid off her 6-figure debt. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the fact that these things are being done. She's making much more of this than is necessary.
Trying to make any presumptions about it. I don't know if it's because I had a certain kind of life experiences or that other people who kind of share my view have these kind of life experiences. But for millions of us, 44 million in fact, that kind of bait and switch is unforgivable when you recognize, as you have both recognized, that it was in his power to sign an executive order to deliver overwhelmingly for the people whose votes he needs right now. So the argument is not with...
When your partner lets you down, you don't give up on them. Nope. 100% no. Anybody in your life is going to let you down at one point or another. You have to be the person that says, I understand you tried your best. Thank you for trying. Thank you for being there for me, and now I'm going to be there for you. Because this isn't over. I mean, if this was over, if this was the last year and he still hadn't done shit, I'd actually give her some credit on this subject. But she's acting as though not only did he fail at doing it, which she's wrong about at least a portion of that, but she's also acting as though it's completely over. She's not even giving him the chance to continue along this path to be successful. She's just straight up saying, I'm mad that it didn't get done now. Talking surface level bullshit is the thing we do to pass time. I'm trying to change that shit, Redonk. I'm trying to change that shit. If there's anything I can change in our society, it's that everybody should stop doing that. If you want to just like talk about surface level shit, then talk about football, talk about baseball, talk about things that don't matter. But when it comes to politics, when it comes to your family, when it comes to your job, you should be working a lot harder. You should be looking at the research. You should be finding out what's on the second, third, and fourth level of that game. Because it's fine to talk about the Kardashians on the surface level, but when it comes to transgenders' rights, or when it comes to, a women's right to vote, which some people apparently think should be taken away from them, we need to be educated. We need to know stuff. We need to know the facts. I don't like surface level conversations when it comes to important shit. I want to know what the fuck is going on.
With me. The argument is with the millions of Americans who feel betrayed by Joe Biden and his campaign promises. If we have a contract agreement for you to fix the hole in my roof and I give you $100, and you come into my house and instead you restage my living room and it looks beautiful, that simply wasn't the agreement. And so I am fine. I'm happy to acknowledge the furniture placement is gorgeous. I love the floral arrangements, but that's not what we bargained for. And if you're
that's like another bad analogy. A better analogy would be if I paid you $100 to come in and build my roof, and you got halfway done with it, then I expect you to maybe get the rest of it done for me. You said you'd do it, but if I said to you, well, I can't do it today because I was unfortunately unable to get the materials to do so, but I will accomplish it. In fact, here's the receipts of where I bought the materials, and they will be here in a month. And when those get here in a month, I will fix your roof. Yeah, that's an acceptable situation. Because if they don't finish your roof, well, then you better fix it your fucking self. Are you going to get up there and finish the roof? I don't think you are. All you're going to do is sit under half a roof bitching about it.
If your desire is to push the Democratic Party left, you have to, Chris Hedges says this all the time, it's a politics of fear. If you are more afraid of electing Trump than the Democratic Party is, you are never going to be able to exert any leverage on them at all. And I understand that's a risky position. I understand Trump getting reelected is scary. I understand that there are meaningful ways in which he's hurt real people in real ways. I understand all of that. And we just have a difference of opinion.
But it doesn't matter to me. I'll continue to let this dude hurt other people because no Joe Biden. Because he didn't finish the ceiling. She's nuts, dude. Oh, that Renee girl's here. Hi, Renee. You've missed at least an hour and a half of me ranting. Lucky you.
Opinion about what the priorities are. You said in that viral clip, Crystal, if your priority is reelecting the Democratic Party, than X, Y, and Z. And I think that was good that you said that because you articulated what the priority is for you.
No, that is not the priority for me. The policy is the priority for me, Bree. And I think you know that. And I think it's disingenuous to say otherwise. But let me just a quote let me just say though, is it worth? I mean, I think you care a lot about the labor movement, right?
Sure.
So is it worth letting that baby be smothered in the crib?
Damn.
In order to what? I mean, that's the piece that I don't understand. I understand all of your critique of Joe Biden. I think it's reasonable, okay? I actually am not as strong as Kyle in terms of the intentions on the student loan debt,
more of a Biden bro than she
right?
is, for sure. And she gets accused of being a bigger one than me, but that's a side point.
I understand your critiques of Joe Biden very well. Many of them, if not all of them, I basically share. What I don't understand is just simply a tactical question of how focusing on a third-party effort gets us towards the goals that we share. That's the piece that, to me, recent history proves.
Okay, I'm going to say this, though. I think that she has already explained why she thinks a third party would be good, because she continues to say that getting the Green Party to a 5% vote unlocks a certain amount of funding, which gives them more pressure that they can put on. I don't agree with what she's saying, but I also feel that it's like, I mean, maybe she's just not hearing what she's saying. But on the other side, we shouldn't be bad faith and continuing to like push somebody in that direction. She's, in my opinion, at least explained her position on this subject at least once pretty thoroughly.
Proves it has the complete opposite effect, whereas we do see actual progress that is possible made through the Democratic primary process. And I know you accept that, like you're not a Marianne hater. I'm not putting that on you whatsoever.
Marianne.
But I don't understand how risking the re-election of Trump and allowing a Trump union-busting NLRB to quash what is the most hopeful thing happening in American politics, which is the labor movement. I don't understand how that moves us forward. Like, that just doesn't compute for me.
Well, for one, I'd say, and I don't mean to at all minimize the value of this latest ruling, but I have been heartened by the energy and the gains made by the labor movement prior to that over the last few years.
Which were enabled by the Biden NLRB. I mean, there were...
Yeah, she literally just said over the last few years. That's in Biden's administration. If she was going to say over the last 6 to 8 years, I'd actually be like, oh, shit, no doubt? Okay, let's take a look at it.
The workers get all the... Listen, they do the work. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But there were key decisions that were made in the Starbucks organizing drive in particular, in the Amazon labor union drive.
Dude, Bernie was all over that shit. I love that. I loved watching Bernie take those dudes to just take them out in the parking lot. That was amazing.
As well, that enabled those workers to do their thing. That wouldn't have happened under Trump.
It feels as though, one, the question has been asked and answered several times. You don't agree with my priority. But
no, I still don't understand it. And I may just be dense, but explain again.
I agree with Kyle that ranked choice voting is a priority.
Yes.
I believe that getting the Green Party more powerful, getting them federal matching funds, enables them to join in the Libertarian Party, which has been the most successful advocate for ranked choice voting in the country, to continue to further those efforts. My vote for Joe Biden does nothing to advance what I think will be the ultimate path toward left victory in the United States, which is getting rid of the corporate duopoly. I don't see voting for Joe Biden as advancing that core effort at all.
So ranked choice voting is kind of like, I'm just trying to understand, is like the end-all be-all. That's the number one priority. And so you would actually support the Libertarian Party, the American Constitution Party, the Forward Party, whatever, if it advanced that goal. And that's the priority over everything else. I'm just trying to understand.
Would I personally support an effort by any of those parties to advance ranked choice voting? Yeah, of course.
No, but
No, that's not what she's asking. She's avoiding that shit. She knows it's a trap. That was trap. It's a trap. She's right. I like what she has to say about third rank. Ranked choice voting. I like what she has to say about that. I think that she has the right idea, but I think that she's not wrapping her mind around the fact that by trying to advance it at this point is like an incredibly bad idea. I want ranked choice voting more than most people. I would almost agree with her if this was Bush Senior Clinton. I would probably be on her side right now. I would be like, dude, I'm going to help out and join this woman's cause. But I don't think she sees exactly what Kyle's trying to put down there, and that is you have a president that's doing a lot of good things, whether or not you like or not that he didn't do the student debt relief. Okay, he has done a ton of good things, or the people around him have, one way or the other. And then you have on the other side of that a dude who literally has an agenda to absolutely fuck everybody when he gets back in office. That is 100%, and I don't ever say this, 100% guilty of trying to overturn the American election system. Like, I don't think that she just doesn't get that portion of it, or she doesn't want to admit it because she knows it corners her in a place where it says, okay, you're giving up democracy in the hopes to get ranked choice voting. And I think that those two things completely contradict each other. That's just my opinion. James, you were a roofer for 30 years? Yeah, you get out there. James, I was a roofer when I was like 16. My brother-in-law would actually take me in Bakersfield, my ginger ass, just the palest human being in the world, on top of a house in 110-degree heat, just smearing that tar shit all over the place. And you want to talk about like some Trumpian type work? He would pay me like $40 a week. I shit you not, like $40 a week for like 40 hours of work, maybe more. Okay. In the heat of Bakersfield, rubbing tar on a roof. If that man, I'll just say it, I don't mean to be fucked up, but he got ejected out the side of a truck, okay? If he was still alive, we might have to go out in the parking lot, because I'm still pretty pissed off about that shit.
Did you support those parties? Like, because ranked choice voting is so important.
Why would I when I could vote for the Green Party that actually shares my ideals as well?
Well, I'm just trying to understand where your priorities lie. Is it like you're basically a single issue voter and it's ranked choice voting?
Well, it's not a single issue. It's breaking the corporate duopoly. That's it. This is the fundamental issue. I think that for many people,
she said it's not a single issue. It's breaking the corporate duopoly, and then said that's it. That's literally how you would espouse your single issue.
People, they are very wary of validating what they see as a two-headed snake. And this comes back to your concern, Kyle, about people not willing to acknowledge these successes. I think that we all understand that there is a way that the two corporate parties play off of each other. Democrats get to keep lowering the bar because the Republicans are worse. They both play these culture war games back and forth with each other, where at the end of the day...
Hold on. Democrats get to lower the bar because Republicans are worse? Like, how far does she think Democrats have lowered the bar? Like, I mean, you may not like Joe Biden. You may think he has dementia. You may think that, like, all the things that he's done, in your opinion, are complete trash and not really worth anything, which would be absolutely fucking ridiculous. And if you ever try to debate somebody on that, you completely fucking lose. But the bar didn't get lowered. The bar was literally kept at milquetoast. Like, it's right in the middle. Right on average. It's not like on the lower 40, okay? Now, maybe if the Democratic bar was like in the top 80% before, sure, they lowered the bar to average. But I don't even think that's true. She's making it out to be as though like the Democrats are putting forth their Trump pick. The Democrats don't even have a Trump pick at this point. That's a really low bar to meet.
We're told we had to go vote for the Democrats because gay rights and trans rights and black rights and immigrant rights and all of these rights are on the line. And I said this in 2020 as well. It's not that those arguments aren't true. The question is, how do we ever disentangle ourselves from that? Because it's always going to be the case that some worser thing is coming down the pike precisely because we've enabled that to be the case.
Okay, I jumped in on her a little bit earlier there. I do agree But this is a Republican Party problem, not a Democrat Party. This is an America problem, for sure, but it's not a Democrat problem. It's a Republican problem. Especially right now, they're more splintered than ever before. Uncle Fatty, I just saw you say that about the name being hijacked. There is no place for moderate Republicans anymore in the Republican Party. They're homeless. The Republicans need to clean their house. They need to fix what's going on, and then they need to come back to the table after they threw their little fucking tantrum and say, we're really sorry about that. We want to fix this. Once again, I'm going to use a relationship analogy here. When you fuck up, you come back and you apologize. And then you show everybody how sorry you are by putting in the work to do better and to grow. It's not on your partner. It's definitely not on your kids, because that's what we are. That's what America is. We're the kids. It's not on us. It's not on the Democrats. It's for the Republicans to clean up the shit they made, the mess they made. And then come back to the table and say, so sorry about that. I wasn't taking my meds.
And many people, I don't feel quite this way, but many people feel as though there is an energy suck that happens with even paying attention in voting in these general elections. I think that your points about what's happened on the state level in Minnesota, et cetera, are much stronger. I know that, for example, Sabby Sabs is always making the case that, don't forgo electoral politics, focus more on what's happening on the local level. And I think that is a perfectly reasonable argument.
Yeah, it's a good argument.
Well.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is a failure to recognize the extent to which there is a validation that takes place of the status quo, that people are trying to negotiate as they reckon with real gains that the Biden administration has effectuated.
Yeah, so let me respond to that. I don't want to validate the status quo as much as I want to acknowledge the positive things that exist and have happened recently, which I think is some evidence that in some ways, limited, but some ways, we are moving in a better direction. So let me share a point of agreement, because we've been arguing the whole time. It'd be nice to have a point of agreement real quick. If we wake up tomorrow and there's ranked choice voting everywhere, I would be the biggest Green Party simp on the planet. I would be insufferable. I would basically spend every day advocating for the Green Party. The reason I don't do that is because we don't have ranked choice voting, and I do feel like the choice is effectively just down to a Democrat or Republican in the general election, whoever they may be. Now, having said that,
no cap. Yeah.
I don't want to validate the status quo. I just want to let everybody know in some ways we are moving in a good direction. You brought up the state parties there. There are 6 states now that did free school meals for kids. And in some of those states, that's even breakfast and lunch. And people are not going to be surprised to hear this. Those are Democratic states. And you have the Republican Study Committee, which is basically 3/4 of the House GOP. They're pushing to ban.
Okay, which one of these fucking states, I just don't want to pay for kids to have meals at school, man? Like that shit gets to me right there. That's fucked up.
And any and all states from doing free school meals for kids. They released this in their priority. So when I look at that, I feel like I try to hold the two thoughts in my mind at the same time. I want Cornel West to be president. But I also know that given how structurally deficient and biased the system is right now, it's not going to happen. So given that, yes, I would prefer. Let me ask you this, because I feel like this is a better way to put it. Forget about voting. Voting's irrelevant, right? Let's just say it's election night 2024. It is all of our worst nightmare, Biden versus Trump. Not voting. But that night, when you know it's going to be Biden or Trump winning, are you sitting there like, yeah, of course I would prefer Biden win over Trump?
Honestly,
it's like 50-50?
I don't care.
Okay, all right. That's an answer.
It's not my party.
That's an answer. It's an answer.
Radical, and people are going to be very upset with me. I don't care. I
think
care.
That's fine. Answer honestly. That's fine. That's good.
I know.
Yeah.
They're my audience. And I have come to this position after talking with, I got to say, I loved Colin. I'm sad that they're shutting it down. But part of the reason
I don't like her answer, but that's fine. At least she's honest. I was just saying in that Vivek video, all I really wanted him to do is fucking say the real shit that's coming out of his mouth. She was honest. I don't like her answer. I don't agree with her answer, but I do respect the fact that she was honest.
Loved it is because I would talk to people who were calling me. I would hear their doors dinging in the background because they were doing food delivery, or they're EMTs, or they're like, and this gets characterized as a privileged position that you don't care who wins, Trump or Biden. My experience is the people who have been taking this position, this is just anecdotal, tend to be people at the lower end of the economic spectrum who do feel like their lives aren't meaningfully different under a Trump versus a Biden.
Okay.
And who would rather rock the boat and throw a monkey wrench in the machinery if there's even a fracture of a sliver of a chance that it has some outcome other than what we've been experiencing for their...
My only problem with that is that I've been there, and that's called desperation. It's not a winning strategy.
Entire lives.
Fair enough. You gave a direct answer, so I respect it.
The other thing I would say, though, because you said you're basically an accelerationist. Like, you think things need to get better in order for them to get worse.
I feel...
worse in order for them to get better.
Given my own class privilege, I am reluctant to personally put those wheels into motion, but I very much respect particularly people who, like I just was talking about, who do feel that way. I think that's a legitimate perspective. I feel like it's not my place to say, let's make the world burn, because I'm going to be okay in either way. But I am open to that perspective.
Colors your view and how you approach these things and why you wouldn't really care whether it's Biden or Trump.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the night of 2016. I wasn't, I don't know, how did you guys feel? I wasn't personally devastated.
So,
I felt
that's a
in
great
some
question.
weird
Let me
way
answer.
vindicated.
That's a very...
This is what we have been telling them was going to happen the whole time.
So
Yeah,
I
she
agree
ain't
with
wrong
you
there.
completely about 2016.
Yeah,
right?
me
And I
too.
voted for Jill Stein in 2016. 2020, I didn't vote for Biden. I didn't vote for anybody. It was sort of like, no, seriously, I think they're roughly equal. I think Biden's around the edges better, but I thought he was going to be as conservative a president as he was a senator. So I was like, okay, whatever. But on the night of 2020, I was actually like, oh, for the love of God, I hope Trump loses. And, it's because I see everything he did. I mean, look, I can run through...
1,000,000%, except for on flip, right? Like, I didn't vote in 2016. I did vote for Biden in 2020. Yeah, 1,000,000%. In 2016, I was like, anybody that worked with me could tell you, I was like, first of all, I told you motherfuckers that if you didn't vote, he was going to get elected. And then second, I was like, and it's not that bad of a thing. And to be honest with you, even though I think he was incredibly divisive, I think he was incredibly polarizing, I think he's a terrible human being, I think up until the last year, he kind of held his shit together just enough that we weren't fucking diving off the edge of the cliff. And then obviously trying to overturn the election just completely, he just lost it. So I was sitting there in 2020 when I saw how much he was talking about the potential for the rigged election. And I know that it goes back to 2012 when he actually first started talking about this. But in 2020, when he started pumping up the rhetoric and the people around me were going, dude, there is a chance he might not leave office, I started to get pretty fucking worried. And not just because Donald Trump would have stayed in office, but because the American democracy would have been at stake. Like, if Donald Trump would have overturned the election, we would live in an incredibly different America right now. Because you would have 100% no faith on either side in the electoral process, because the Republicans would believe, thank God Donald Trump did what he did and got it overturned. And on the left, you would have people going, what the fuck? If we win, you can just overturn it? This would be a very scary time to live in. It's crazy enough already.
Through all the bad things Biden did. That's my standard rant that I've been doing for a long time now. But when you look at Trump, I mean, I don't want to sidetrack the conversation here, but like the 91 felonies that he's charged with for defrauding the United States with fake electors and effectively trying to steal the election. Like, to me, I kind of agree with the people who are like, on that alone, I mean, this is fucking crazy. We've never been here before. We're talking about the peaceful transfer of power is genuinely in question now in a way that it never was before.
Let me say, in terms of my view on Trump, the reason why I'm not even a little bit sympathetic towards the accelerationist view is, first of all, I just think, like, things get worse, sometimes they just get worse. And I think there's a real possibility that, we go rather than a leftist utopia, we go in the direction of like a fascist police state. I think that's a real possibility on the table. And if things get worse, I think that's probably more likely than the outcome we would like to see. But specifically on Trump, in some ways, the worst part of the Trump era has been not that it has created a divisive politics, because I believe in a divisive politics. It's just about where the divides should be. And he has made politics all about just how do you feel about the person of Donald Trump.
Populist.
And I think that that has been a significant barrier in terms of making any of the arguments that we want to make for a different world and better policies, et cetera. Because, yeah, you could say, oh, they'll just say Ron DeSantis or whoever is worse than Trump. But you gotta acknowledge there is something a little special about the dude who's gonna like do a January 6th and like
That's
have
what I
an
was just
insurrection,
saying, yeah.
etc. He's a particularly potent villain that is weaponized very effectively. And so it creates a divisive politics that is divided along all the wrong lines. So that's why I'm not sympathetic to the view that like, oh, maybe if we elect Trump, somehow that'll make things better in an a process that's 3 years down the road or 3 decades down the road that no one can really explain. I'm not sympathetic to that because I've seen the way that Trump has made our politics worse in real time in a way that has not been beneficial.
Well, for one, I would say to the extent that we are inching closer to fascism as opposed to the socialist utopia, we got exactly here doing vote blue no matter who. So I don't think that any kind of concerted Green Party campaign or effort, third
But
party.
that's not really
If we voted blue
though.
no matter who, Al Gore would have been president. We would have never had Bush, and Hillary would have beaten Trump. So vote blue no matter who would have been a whole bunch of standard milquetoast Democrats.
Now you're making the argument that it's third party spoilers' fault that Al Gore wasn't elected in 2000.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying you accused, the vote blue no matter who argument. I'm saying if people had, quote unquote, voted blue no matter who, Democrats would have won every election. That's the point I'm making.
Well,
vote blue no matter who means everybody votes
so
Democrat.
for one, more registered Democrats in Florida voted for George Bush.
I know, I agree with
than
you.
they did Al Gore.
Dude,
Al Gore
she's
failed to
making
win
the
his own
argument for him. God damn it. Does she not understand? She just said vote blue no matter who. Okay, so if Democrats voted for Bush, that's literally not voting blue no matter who. God damn it. She's a pretty smart person. I think she's just like, she's not winning and she's like on her heels. She's not dumb. She fucked that up.
State.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree with you on
So
that.
I'm struggling with the argument here. What does George
God
Bush?
damn
Then
it,
the
man.
No,
Supreme
you just
Court
said
of
we
it all.
got where we
So
are
what
now
is-
because of vote blue no matter who. And the point I was making is, in a
If
real
that was
quote
true-
unquote, vote blue no matter who, there would have been no Republicans elected if everybody votes Democrat. That's the point I'm making.
Vote blue no matter who doesn't mean everyone votes Democrat.
No, it
Vote blue
means
no matter who
Democrats
means
do.
the Democratic Party uses coercion and guilt to get people to vote for it instead of delivering on what polls demonstrate overwhelming majorities of Americans want, which is left policy.
Which is, yes,
That's
always
what
voting
the
blue if you're
pernicious
Democrats,
nature
which
of
means
vote
you would
blue no
never
matter
vote
who
for a
is
Republican.
that it absolves the Democratic Party of having to look at polls that say 2/3 of Americans don't want Joe Biden to run because he's too old, that 88% of Democratic
I'm
voters
one of
want
them.
Medicare for all, that 60% of Floridians, a state that went for Trump, wanted a $15 minimum wage. But Joe Biden, whose praises we've been singing a lot
The $15 minimum wage drives me nuts. There's no way that gets passed. And that's not going to be Joe Biden's fault. That's going to be because you trying to get that through the House and the Senate is never going to happen. You're never going to get enough people to vote for it. So even saying that you're going to get a $15 minimum wage federally, there's not enough support for it below the House. So unless he's going to, once again, executive order these things, which creates like, I don't even know if you can. I'll need to look that up. But even if he did, even if he could, it would be a bad idea.
today, purposeful.
And isn't it true that even with the executive orders to get, yeah, because Donald Trump did that to Obama, you can come in and you can just like eliminate the former executive orders with yours, right? Isn't that how that works? Isn't that what Trump did to Obama? So even if he made a $15 federal wage through executive order, couldn't then the next person just fucking just put it in the trash?
Fully stripped on order of the parliamentarian from must-pass COVID legislation, so that that one core promise that he made to Bernie, as Bernie dropped out after like 3 days of not being, endorsed after 3 days after dropping out, was immediately thrown under the bus.
But let me just to interject real quick, because I don't want you to get the misimpression that I'm not aware of the negative things around Joe Biden. He also said he was going to get back in the Iran agreement, did not get back in the Iran agreement. We're still terribly cucked to Saudi Arabia as a country as they do a genocide. where he's still sanctioning Afghanistan. He's super conservative on the border, almost to the point of being as extreme as Trump. He did the Willow Project. He didn't give us a public option. He didn't give us $15 minimum wage. He didn't get the original Build Back Better through. He screwed the rail workers union, which is something you very potently covered. So I'm not here to pretend like Joe Biden only did good things.
Thank you.
I'm trying to do, to the best of my ability, explain what I think are the facts on both sides of the equation. Here are the good things he did, here are the bad things he did, and then people can just make up their own mind as to how they want to proceed in a showdown between Trump or Biden, who they would prefer.
Do you think that Biden is better than Obama?
I'm open to that argument. Again, my fundamental, I don't. What,
it's a trap.
What purpose does that
It's
serve?
a trap.
I think it's everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's the chart. Like, is the person going to do good things that move us in a better direction? Especially, I brought up labor unions a million times, but for me, that's really central. Or are they not? And I guess my question for you is, because you were sort of like, all right, let's acknowledge, sure, let's say Biden's 10 times better than Trump. Like, how much better would he have to be before you're like, okay, it's not just lesser evil, it's not just vote blue no matter who, it's actually worth voting for this person?
He would have had to have done everything that he could have done.
Even Bernie wouldn't have done everything he could have done, in my opinion.
Bernie!
What kind of statement is that?
Dude, Bernie wouldn't have got 50% of what he wanted done. Are you kidding me? I love fucking Bernie. I love fucking Bernie. Please don't clip that. I love Bernie. But there's no way. All of his ideas are great. They're amazing. They're so awesome. They feel so good. But finding support in the House and Senate to pass like half of what Bernie wanted to pass would have been incredible. Amazing. It would have been like life-changing for so many people. There's no way Bernie would have gotten 100% of the stuff that he wanted done. And anybody that thinks that, if she right now says that she thinks that Bernie would have followed through with all of those things, then she's fucking disillusioned. And that's just as bad as the QAnon people. Okay, maybe not as bad.
I just think.
Wait a minute. I'm not saying he could have.
I'm not taking a shot at you. I'm just saying I don't think politics. Even somebody like
Thank
Bernie
God.
who's principled, I don't think he even delivers on everything.
He has to fulfill miracles. I'm not saying he has to accomplish everything that he says he wants to do. I'm saying he has to have done
everything he
could have done.
You can do a lot as president. You can do a lot.
So this is the issue with Biden. Not that he didn't wave a wand and create Medicare for all, because we can all acknowledge that even if it were Bernie Sanders, that would have been an uphill battle. But what I choose to focus on my show, and what I really appreciate about reporting by people like David Sirota and The Lever, is that he exposes the gap between what these people have done and what was literally possible, either because of the nature of executive orders, whether it's walking us through the parliamentarian brouhaha and the $15.
Dude, somebody help me out with that. Can the president pass an executive order, and then the next president that comes in, can he override that executive order with an executive order of his own? I will look that up afterwards, but if anybody knows the answer to that, please tell me.
Minimum wage, because so much of neoliberal democratic politics is obscuring that they really could have done things to make lives better for all of us behind the veneer of insider.
And can we please also admit that all of this happened during COVID? Like, you're asking for the dude to do these incredible, crazy things in his first term during a pandemic. Can we acknowledge that not only is she asking for miracles, but miracles during, like, the most difficult and most polarized time that we have seen, at least in my lifetime, and possibly in like the last 2-3 generations' lifetime.
Hill jargon, or the idea that the
Okay, not 2-3 generations. Maybe like one. World War II was 1918?
Republicans are the big baddies that couldn't allow us anything to pass. And I believe that my job is to cut through those narratives, to expose to the public that the Democratic Party is making choices. They're not
he could have done Medicare.
In the football.
I'll go even further than you. I agree. He could have done Medicare for all with the stroke of a pen. And it was David Dayen over at the American Prospect who laid this out, who said basically, look, under a national emergency, you have the authority under Obamacare to basically do single-payer healthcare, and they did it, I think, in Libby, Montana, because there was some issue there with health. So he had the ability to do it. So I agree with you. He could have done that. He didn't do that. The only point I was trying to make is that even with somebody like Bernie, I think there would be a little bit of a gap between what he says when he's on the podium and if he were to actually be president. I think a guy like Bernie would deliver on way more of the stuff that he says, because I think he's more...
I think Bernie would honestly try to deliver on everything that he said. I actually think that's why Bernie continues to fail at becoming the president, is people are like, holy shit, if this guy actually becomes the president, he's going to try to do all of those things. I just don't think he'd be successful at it.
Or honest among government officials, but certainly Biden, there's definitely going to be a gap there between what he says and what he would do. But to be fair, like I said before, I do think Biden kind of ran as he wasn't as conservative as like Mike Bloomberg in the 2020 race, but he was pretty conservative. He was running as a pretty conservative Democrat, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was, but he still said, we're going to get a $15 minimum wage. We're going to cancel...
I'm not arguing with you. I don't know why you're arguing. I'm not arguing with you, Bree.
But Kyle, if you say that he ran as a conservative, what it sounds like you're doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a furtherance of you saying the bar was on the ground. He fulfilled my expectation.
To me, it was, yeah.
But what I'm telling...
No, he surpassed my expectation.
But he fulfilled, surpassed, whatever. What I'm saying to you is that you have constructed a bar that's lower than Biden constructed for himself.
No, but I don't agree with that. I was going based off of his commentary at the time.
He literally said and ran on
nothing will fundamentally change.
Nothing will fundamentally change. That's true. Come on. I understand what you're saying. There are some examples to the opposite. I agree with you.
Did he not run on a $15 minimum wage? Yes or no?
He definitely did.
Did he run on canceling all student debt? Yes or no?
We're not making that
I'm not sure about.
He literally did.
I thought it was 10,000.
But hold on. We're not even...
Sorry, $10,000 per month.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
I thought it was that.
Arguing with you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to argue with you right now.
Couldn't have done more, or that he fulfilled every promise or whatever.
Okay.
But what I want to get from you, though, is in terms of how you see your role as independent media.
Yeah.
And you said you see it as exposing the gap between like the Democratic Party neoliberal rhetoric and what they actually deliver.
Oh, I just saw that. Thank you, Fatty. Thank you and of course I trust you, Fatty. That's exactly what I thought. And if that is true, then all of this shit with people wanting people to do executive orders, it drives me nuts, because it's like, so you're going to create an executive order, and then we've got $15 federal minimum wage. We've got healthcare for all. We've got LGBT rights. We've got all these things that Bernie was running on. We've got, I guess you couldn't uncancel the student debt. Maybe you could. I don't know. Republicans, I'm not saying what they can or can't do. Maybe they'd come back for that money. Maybe they'd sue civilians, American citizens, to get the money back. I guess that probably is something that's possible. What is the point if the Republican president that follows the Democratic president just cancels all of that and wipes it out with their own executive orders? That's not true change. I'm pretty sure if it's passed through law and goes through the House, the Senate, and the president, and then is looked at by the Supreme Court, it's codified, right? Isn't that how it works? That at that point, the only way that you can get it to be overturned is by sending it back through the Supreme Court, a la Roe v. Wade, and finding that some mistake was made, or that a precedent was set at a different time in a different case, that then they can overturn it. You can't just executive order everything and change reality. That's not going to happen. It's a very short-term solution for an incredibly complicated, complex, long-term problem.
What they could deliver.
And I do plenty of that as well. And, we feature the lever reporting a lot on Breaking Points, etc. But when does it become not just you're exposing the gap, but you're actually presenting a dishonest impression of the Biden administration if the positive things that do happen don't get any acknowledgement or coverage?
For one, I think that there is a multi-billion-dollar liberal media sphere whose job it is,
and who your audience doesn't trust.
They don't talk about these things. They don't talk about these things.
Your audience doesn't trust.
That is not my fault. I have a
what?
bunch of poor people giving me $5 a month to give them something that they can't get with their cable subscription. I'm sorry, it is not my job. People are not paying me the bulk of their minimum wage salary
No.
to have them tell them what a great job Biden did
But
somewhere.
listen, I'm not attacking. I just genuinely want to understand your view.
It's just being
Also,
honest.
nobody doesn't talk about the good things I mentioned Biden do. Like, nobody talks about those.
You feel like...
Nobody brings those up.
Is this...
Yeah, literally, I had to research the CHIPS Act myself. I had to research the Inflation Reduction Act myself. I think I did hear maybe on the news about... No, I don't fucking hear any of those things. Everything that I know about Biden is because I have went and read government statistics on or found small media like these guys that covered it. I have never heard any of those things on CNN or MSNBC because they're afraid to say that they support him because of the left that is already really upset with him. The redonks of the world. It's all your fault, redonk. Okay, we're almost there.
You're representative of your view. The media doesn't talk about these failings
3 minutes,
of
redonk.
Democrats.
3 minutes.
And so they can get the good stuff about Democrats somewhere else. I'm going to just focus on the negative things, the places where they fall short.
Yeah.
So you would acknowledge that if people are just consuming, for example, your podcast, that they're not getting the complete picture of what's going on.
I think that anybody consuming any one news source, particularly an independent journalist who puts out 1 hour episodes twice a week.
Oh, but you do write
many
things too.
Many
You
of
do plenty of content.
Well, sure. I mean, they're certainly not getting full news if they're watching Rising, but the content that I'm responsible for in terms of picking topics. No, the episode I'm going to record later today is about AI. It's a niche subject. It's not a news show, so I don't quite understand what the takeaway is from that. Of course, I'm offering what my goal is to fill in the holes in what I perceive to be in the media at large.
So I understand that because that used to be much closer to my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I have shifted my thinking because I feel like when I only covered basically Democratic Party sucks, this is their failures, et cetera, it began to create a misleading impression that the Republicans are better, that the Democrats never do anything good. And so it has caused me to reevaluate some of the coverage decisions that I would have made in the past. So this is not you can cover whatever the hell you want to cover, but I just wanted to understand the lens you were bringing to it because I think that makes a difference in terms of what stories you would include and the things that you would focus on.
Well, I think that might be true if you aren't covering that Republicans are bad, which I do as well. When it's relevant, and especially when it's a coverage of why Republicans are bad that are different than what the mainstream media is doing. So, for example, I think
what it sounds like is that her content has a negative lean. And that's the if it bleeds, it leads. And that's the problem with a lot of content on YouTube is it's becoming the same content that's in our media and that it is all pressured to lean further and further into the negative atmosphere because the further it goes into that, the more popular it is, the more money you make, the more subscribers and followers you have. I'm not negative enough. That's how it is. And I'm okay with that because I have a really good community of people that I love, like Uncle Fatty and Auntie and Redonk every once in a while. And James, DJ. I have great people that follow me and I like taking the real, I don't want to say middle ground, centrist look at things because I lean left, but the more positive outlook on it, I guess. But it sounds like her media covers things in a negative light. And that makes sense because all of these content creators really just want to be the next CNN.
Had an exchange on my last episode about this because my guests seem to be largely unaware of the legitimacy of the claims in the Georgia indictment against Trump. And there is a section of the left which takes the position that, well, Trump isn't the real problem and the media is unfair to Trump and Trump derangement syndrome is what it is with Rachel Maddow and that. So I'm just not going to listen to any of those kind of arguments. I just don't care.
Right.
And I don't care about it as much as many, many other things. And I think it takes up too much energy. But I also need people to understand that it wasn't just a 1-6 thing. It was this conspiracy to overturn the election that people should take seriously. So and we cover those things as they come up. The trucker, whatever it is that comes up. We did a whole Tucker Carlson series last summer. Like,
Obama's gay. Did you know that? I'm just kidding.
That's a hell of a way to end that episode. All right, thanks for sticking with me through that, guys. I'm always concerned about the long ones. I don't want to take up your entire night, but I wanted to watch that, and I'm glad I did. That was actually it was a good conversation. I think that Brianna there has some opinions, and she has a dog in the fight. She has 2 dogs at least in the fight that I saw. Maybe 3 by the end there with the negative stuff. So she had at least 3 positions that I think kind of compromise any type of like good faith discussion. So I think that it got a little bit spicy, like the title says, for a while there. But I think people talked about a lot of good things. Redonk, link me a video for aliens, so that way I don't have to go look for it. I do think that Kyle, he didn't actually talk all that much until the end. I think that he has a pretty good point of view on it. Redonk, I just want to point out something too. That was a combative conversation at one point or another, but I gave Brianna there multiple compliments for her honesty, and that's my problem with Vivek, because she actually said some things. She even contradicted herself multiple times, but at least she was being honest. She was like speaking her truth. She was honestly saying what she thought about those things. And Vivek won't even do that. I would 100% vote for Brianna here over Vivek, because I think that she would possibly at least be telling the truth. That's my main thing with why I didn't like the Vivek thing. I don't think that he is being honest. I think he's full of shit. What is this link that you sent me? Is this oh, that's really Redonk. Really Redonk. Okay. All right, let's find some aliens. We'll have to save these 2 for later. A different time. We had the listless vessels. We're gonna watch that at a different time. And this one here, I'm giving up the Ginger Billy video for the Mexican aliens, just for you, Redonk, okay? All right, so let's find some Mexican aliens. Mexican. This might pull up something else. All right, which one we want to go with, folks? We going with New York Post? Are we going with ABC? CBS? Is there no OANN? Oh, how about Pat McAfee? Should we go with the Pat McAfee show? That's probably going to be a pretty good one. Okay. It's what we need. We need a cleanser. News Nation. That's a left-wing place, right? There's got to be like a better one. We got the Telegraph. That's kind of a little right-leaning. I want a hot take. I want a seriously hot take. I think we're going to have to go Pat McAfee. News Nation, Fatty? All right, let's go News Nation. Where we at? Uncle Fatty's the only one that's voting, so we're going News Nation, folks. Where did we go? Oh, shit, I missed it. All right, here we go.
Well, tomorrow, NASA set to release the findings of a heavily anticipated report on unidentified...
Okay, real quick before we get into this, if anybody has seen it, how many people think that this is real? How many people believe that those are really alien bodies? I'm on the fence, as I always am. I'm a 50-50. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. I'm on the fence. I think they kind of look like they might be like old ET toys that just like ended up in a dump for a really long time and in some way have like decomposed.
Anomalous phenomena, also known as UAPs. Now it comes as Mexico holds its first ever hearing on UFOs, with scientists putting on...
Fake as fuck, Redonk says. If Redonk's saying fake as fuck, you know it's fake as fuck. What is this business? Are they in like a humidor or something like that? Oh, it's definitely right wing. Look at us down here. All right. That's fake. There's no fucking way. That's your ex-wife? I don't know. She's kind of good looking, Fatty. Kind of hot.
What they claim are the remains of 2.
And is this the broski? Is this the broski right here? Well, come on now, Redonk. That's not enough. Like, I mean, maybe Don't hate on short people, bro. Maybe the aliens are really small, but they're super smart. And maybe they have huge dongs, okay? You don't know that. You're judging them a little prematurely.
Extraterrestrials. News Nation's Joe Khalil joins us live with these developments.
Who is this guy?
Joe, this is some big news.
That is not a haircut. That's the weirdest haircut. What the fuck? Fake as fuck. I just like that you guys are not, you're not even giving him a little bit.
Yeah, Kelly, we got big news on multiple fronts here globally on the UFO story. So let's start with NASA that you referenced off the top here. Tomorrow, the agency is going to be releasing its findings on UAPs. Because of significantly increased reports and sightings, last year NASA put together this team to study the phenomenon, figure out what's real, what we know, and what is still a mystery. And after almost a full year, we are going to finally get that report.
Well, hold on. That's all we had to say about the Mexican aliens? We just went straight to NASA and their report? I want to know whether or not NASA is testing some of the alien flesh. Because this dude says that they're going to show... Mexican Crown Congress is lit. I bet it is. This dude says that they're going to show that there's no human DNA in these things. Like, he says he's going to prove it. You think it is maybe Shibibo? That's like they're in some way related to the Shibibo. Those are actually Shibibo's his eyebrows. His eyebrows have came to life.
Tomorrow. Now, before that, we expect NASA officials, including the head of the...
Is that Donald Trump's silhouette? That looks like Donald Trump back there.
Agency Administrator Bill Nelson, they will be briefing reporters on their finding as well. We are going to hopefully be there, be able to ask our questions. We spoke exclusively today to UFO researcher and filmmaker James Fox about his expectations for NASA's upcoming report tomorrow. Here's what he told us.
Initially, my expectations were somewhat high because of the statements that Bill Nelson's been making, head of NASA. He was making very compelling statements on the difficulty to...
This guy looks like he is like eternally surprised. He just has like the facial structure to always be surprised.
explaining some of these unidentified aerial objects that defy physics as we understand it. You know, he acknowledged the tic-tac. He said he'd met with the pilots and that they couldn't explain what that thing
Bucket, are you trying to tell me that I can get those for like $19.99 on Etsy?
was or where it came from. So then when I found out that they were not going to have access to the classified files, my expectations lowered quite significantly.
Aww.
So we're anticipating that. Meantime, there is this. In Mexico this week, congressional hearings focused on UAP sightings, much like we had in the U.S. Congress back in July. And this right here...
I feel like they're just fucking with us at this point, though. I feel like they're just messing around with us, like they're telling us that there's going to be aliens. I think they're just trying to distract us. I'm not a conspiracy theorist usually, but I kind of feel like some shit's going on right now. They're like, you guys want to know about those UFOs? You guys want to know about those UFOs? Because you're only going to hear about them right now. You better come over here and listen.
Sort of stole the show. This is according to a prominent Mexican UFO journalist and researcher.
For that?
These are two
$80 for that?
non-human corpses, both at least 1,000 years.
Hold on. That's a cookie. That's a cookie. I've seen these before. They just need to go in the oven for another 20 minutes and they'll pop right up. I've seen it.
Years old, discovered in Peru back in 2017 and then fossilized. Now look, there is a lot of skepticism here about whether these are real, whether this is legitimate. We ourselves can't verify any of this, so we are skeptical about what we're seeing here at News Nation when it comes to the origins of these things in this video. Nonetheless, these displays were a part of a legitimate Mexican congressional hearing. Ryan Graves, the former Navy pilot who actually testified before the U.S. Congress back in July, he was also there sharing his story and his experiences with UAPs, Kelly. So, you know, I think a lot of...
Can you imagine being in the green room waiting for your turn to go out into Congress and this dude's in there with his two coffins? Oh man, shit just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
A lot of work still having to go into whether or not these things are real. Mexico's Congress debating whether they're going to be enhancing a law that would essentially make Mexico the first country on earth to say explicitly that they believe in extraterrestrial life.
Dude, Mexico's just trying to get clout. This is what it's about, right? Is like Mexico is like, dude, we haven't done anything for so long. Like, we need some kind of relevancy, guys. What if we claim we had the first aliens?
So a lot happening just south of our border there, Kelly.
All right, you can
There's a lot happening just south of my border as well.
understand the skepticism. Joe Khalil, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe.
I'm good. What else are you trying to link me here, Redonk? All right, hold on. All right. This better not be anything because I'm putting it straight into the feed.
Son seres no humanos que no son parte de nuestra evolución terrestre y que después de desaparecer no hay una evolución posterior. De acuerdo a la Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México, quien realizó los análisis de carbono 14, estos seres tienen
1,000 years old.
alrededor de 1000 años de antigüedad. Es decir, no se trata de seres que fueron recuperados en aves que son estrellamientos.
What is with this translation? That were recovered in birds that are crashes? Is this dude drunk or is the person that's translating it drunk?
Sino son seres que estaban sepultados en minas de diatomea.
That's Fatty's ex-wife.
De diatomea. La diatomea es una alga fosilizada.
I know what diatomaceous earth is. The hippies, they eat that stuff. It's super poisonous too, but it like supposedly does stuff for your gut biome. He's trumping it. He's making up numbers. 17 million ancient phytoplankton.
Con 17 millones de antigüedad es fitoplancton que abundaba
Fitoplankton.
en aquel tiempo y al desaparecer se fosilizó.
Man, people gotta stop messing with us. Stop messing with us. I want to see the real aliens. God damn it, man. This is just making me sad. Okay. All right. Next time around, guys, we're watching the Ginger Billy. Okay? We're watching... I think I got rid of him. We're watching the Ginger Billy. For those of you that survived for this entire podcast, I love you. I appreciate you. As always, you guys are fucking amazing. I just got to keep saying this over and over again because I don't think you guys can even know how important this is to me. But a lot of my education on all these subjects happens right here with you guys. And I don't know that I would have gotten as far into a lot of these subjects as I have if it wasn't for you guys. Redonk, been here supporting me forever. Fatty, Bucket, DJ, Auntie, James, Brother Jumbie coming in here. Love you guys. I appreciate you guys. If you guys want to join the army, $3 a month, 10 cents a day. Support a Soulless Ginger. Jumbie, thank you for the 5. Appreciate that, sir. Once again, during the week, I'm a busy man nowadays. I've been trying to make sure that I'm staying busy and getting stuff done. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah, we're going to watch some stuff, Fatty. And if you guys want to see just like a UFO type of stream one week too, let me know. We'll do like a UFO stream. It doesn't have to always be politics. I like doing the politics because it's educating me, but I enjoy looking at other stuff too. We can watch religion. We can watch space. I'm invested in a lot of different subjects nowadays. So if you guys want to do that stuff, you guys let me know. Feel free to send me an email. Fatty's got my email. He knows how to hit me up. angrygingerproductions3@gmail.com. You can get that on my About page. You can see any one of my social medias. Join up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I don't ever go on my Twitch channel anymore, so don't hit me up there. Or the email. Any one of those you guys want to do a certain night where we do something more fun than sit here watching people argue about politics, I'm always happy to do that. So, as always, I appreciate you guys. Auntie, love you to death. Thank you so much for watching my videos and commenting on them. You make me a happy person. I'm going to redo my 2 first videos. I'm going to edit them, clean them up a little bit, and then we're going to re-release them. Those are me just talking and trying to be funny. And I want you guys to see how far I've come in a year. It's been a year now. So I want you guys to see how far I've came since my first videos to where I'm at today. So I'm going to clean those up a little bit and try and re-put them out. It's on the list of a million things that I'm doing every week. When I'm not on the channel, I'm doing stuff every day trying to make it better. Gracie! Thank you, Gracie. I appreciate you. Yeah, guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you next week.